We're on the precipice of another teacher strike in Chicago. Of course we are. Could happen as soon as this winter, like February-ish, because there's a little bit of an impasse over the 9% compounded annual salary increases Stacey Davis Gates wants for her members. 41% of CPS teachers were absent from their classes more than 10 days during the 2023-2024 school year, according to state records. That represents chronic absenteeism, the 10-day threshold. 4 out of 10 CPS teachers. Now, I know what you're thinking. I mean, does that worsen, improve, or hold harmless the kind of instruction you get at most CPS schools? Yeah, that's a fair flag to wave, but still, the point cannot be lost that you're running a scam to get kids in the classroom so you get everybody's cash in Illinois. Remember, CPS, the only government school system in the state, primarily funded by state tax dollars and not local property tax dollars, primarily. So you get all the cash from around the state so that you can skip out, because what's going to happen if you're chronically absent? You're going to get fired? Right, that's a punchline. This is nothing new. 43 in the 2020-22, 23 school year, CPS teachers, 43% were absent more than 10 days, chronically absent. And now this is in addition to the sick time and the personal days and the 3.5 weeks of vacation and so forth. This in addition to that. Just by some, the other thing that the Chicago Tribune stipulates too, $30,000 of spend per student per year, the highest per student spend in Illinois. How's it going?
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us at the very same line. Everybody knows, anybody who goes to CPS knows the teachers that just decide not to go to school. Or that, they'll take a few days off before Christmas, or a week off before Thanksgiving, or a week off before the end of school, just to pad things out. Because, they have sick time. They might as well use it. That's what I remember hearing.
This happens in some school districts. We're not talking about sick time.
No, I'm saying, right, I know, but I'm just saying whatever they tell I know somebody who went to Africa. She went to Miami for her friend's 40th, and I said, well, what do you mean you're going to Africa for 10 days? You're at Christmas time? She's like, oh, no, I'm just going to go right now. And I said, well, what does your principal say? She's like, oh, she didn't care. Okay.
Evanston, Skokie School District 65, which is another terrible school district that's basically just a total unabashed indoctrination camp. 43% of teachers absent more than 10 times last year, too. Boy, something in common. These Soviet systems and the apparatchiks don't show up. Oak Park River Forest, slightly better, 39% chronically absent. Jeez. Now, this is not to say all are. For example, Waukegan, 99.9% of teachers had fewer than 10 absences, according to the state data. Doesn't make it a great school, but at least people are showing up for the job. I mean, and again, this is not all on the teachers, but it certainly is partly on the teachers. So if you're calling to give me the finger pointing thing, like where teachers blame administrators blame the school board blames the parents, and we just go round and round. No. That's not how it works. Everybody is a stakeholder, so everybody bears their share of the responsibility for the scams that are being run on Illinois families, including the Illinois families themselves. And, of course, the real victims here, children in poor, terrible school districts, not poor by school spend, but in terms of they live in poor neighborhoods, down market socioeconomically, and are not given the same opportunities that the rich and the politically connected get. We tried to change that with tax credit scholarships, but the left and the Illinois electorate said that wasn't important. Okay, fine. So here's what you got. And so many of those kids not even given an opportunity to earn a quality education that prepares them for life. And that's just the way it is in Illinois, including in the suburbs, as these government school systems continue to worsen in terms of quality. And everybody just tries to, hope they get out before the bridge collapses. They get across before the bridge collapses. They get their kids across. Let's get them out, and then my kids are out. Then I'm out, and we survived. That's a great strategy, unless you haven't crossed the bridge yet. Mm-hmm. Roger, Southside.
Morning, and maybe. Well, I'll start the week like this. Okay, what you started with, Dan. The first thing that needs to be done, and I hope we get some insight from Washington on this, consolidating, selling off assets, and closing schools, including layoffs. Because I'll tell you something. I mean, you've got maybe a month ago, or you look it up on Wire Points. You've got some of these schools are under 10%.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
So before we start putting the books in the shelves,
right.
Let's put up the right shelf.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks for the call, Roger. I mean, right, and we'll all collectively recall the hue and cry when Tiny Dancer closed a few schools that were virtually empty, and then they passed a law in the Springfield that you can't close any schools until 2025, any more schools, because you have to protect the buildings, because you have to protect the jobs, and it doesn't matter if you're wasting money that could be used for scholarships or after school tutoring or anything to the benefit of the actual kids in the system. And who went along with that? The parents, the electorate. So, you just don't have the intellectual and rhetorical leadership coming from any institution here. Why? Because everybody who's an adult in the system likes the way it is. I mean, that's it. It's a story over and over again. But it should lead every newscast, and it should lead our show more than it does, which is just a point of order, just so we all recall this, part of our permanent record, that we presided over one of the worst school systems in America, in American history, that deprived, for generation after generation, hundreds of thousands of children the opportunity to earn a quality education and have a successful, happy life, because otherwise they're turned back out to the streets. We know what that produces. And and the body count and the endemic violence is a direct result of our collective failure. A collective failure to speak with moral clarity about this Soviet system and the consequences of tolerating it, much less continuing to fund it, much less continuing to fund it at ever-increasing levels. And nobody will speak to nobody will speak with moral clarity about that. Certainly nobody in public office or aspiring to public office, including Republicans, by the way. And you want to talk about a revolution, people enjoying the shots that Brandon Johnson is taking from some black residents at the city council meetings, and that's all well and good over migrants, and it's all well and good over BLM Brandon's general incompetence. And meanwhile, nobody wants to focus on the Chicago Teachers Union, whether it's Stacey Davis Gates or Jesse Sharkey or Karen Lewis. I mean, go back in time. Arnie Duncan, Paul Vallis, D. Sharon Grant. How far do you want to go back? The CPS administrators, the CTU teachers union bosses, the parents, the families, Pritzker, Welch, Harmon, the people who eliminated the scholarship program. Just remember that's all part of our permanent record. So you can do and me too. Made an effort, had temporary success with the tax credit scholarship program, and then failed. It all broke apart because nobody cared enough. And nobody cared enough on the side of school choice to be competent enough to protect it. That's a failure. So we all take our share of the blame, but don't do, at least you won't get away with it on this show. Don't do it's all Brandon Johnson, it's all the last three mayors, it's all the last three CPS superintendents, it's all the last three CTU teachers union bosses. It's not. Every single one of us in Chicagoland and the state of Illinois, every state legislator, every governor, every mayor, every family
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, the mayor of Denver says he's willing to go to jail to keep people in Denver and in this country illegally. We'll see if it's a good idea for Trump to put that to the test. 5:38.
And later, don't you know who I am? We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:32. Hopes are growing of a holiday ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah.
Multiple news outlets say Israel's agreed in principle to halt its campaign against the Lebanon-based Hezbollah. According to Axios, the draft agreement calls for a 60-day window during which Israel would withdraw troops from southern Lebanon. Hezbollah would move its heavy weapons away from the border, with Lebanon's official military deploying between the two sides. A US-led committee would monitor violations. Hezbollah began firing rockets at Israel after the October 7th attack by Hamas last year. The exchange of fire forced thousands of communities to be evacuated on both sides of the border. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
A new poll shows most voters approve of the job President-elect Trump is doing as he prepares to take office. The CBS poll out Sunday found over 60% of voters said they approve of Donald Trump's handling of his presidential transition so far. Senator Tammy Duckworth open to confirming President-elect Trump's cabinet picks, but wants them to go before the Senate for confirmation. Duckworth was on CNN's State of the Union.
I think that's all we senators are saying is, let us do our job. Send these people to us. We will ask the questions. She will have a hearing, and then we will vote.
More than weather could impact your holiday travel this week. The FAA says air traffic could be slowed down during peak travel times because of staffing issues. A man was killed, a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon along West 26th Street in the Little Village neighborhood. A 43-year-old man was shot multiple times. A 41-year-old woman shot in the leg. The man was pronounced dead at nearby Mount Sinai Hospital. Also a shooting Sunday left a 16-year-old boy dead and a 15-year-old injured in the Little Village community. Police say the teens were standing along South Avers Avenue when someone opened fire, striking both. A juvenile faces weapons charges following a Saturday night shooting near Chicago's flagship Macy's store along State Street that severely wounded a 19-year-old woman. Vikings prevail in overtime, toppling the Bears 30-27 at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams, 340 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns.
Regardless of what happened, and the play is good, bad, we fought all the way to the end. And that's definitely encouraging. You don't want to be around people that are quitting, that are giving up. That's not the type of guys we have.
Chicago now 4-7 on the year. The Bulls looked awful on defense in a weekend loss to Memphis, 142-131. The Blackhawks couldn't hold a 2-goal lead in a 3-2 overtime loss to Philadelphia Saturday. They host the Stars on Wednesday. College hoops, number 20 Illinois, no trouble, taking out Maryland Eastern Shore over the weekend. The 4-1 Illini take on Arkansas Little Rock tonight. The news, a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains why Democrats must be upset.
He made inroads in every single group. The most loyal groups to the Democrats, blacks and Jews, made tremendous inroads. For Hispanics, it's not even an issue. Yeah, but nothing worked. The whole appeal to abortion, and the women voted Republican anyway.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to this station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/food for the poor, or just click on the Give Life banner.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code RADIO for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's promo code RADIO.
It's 5:40. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% on dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. Stevenson outbound between LaGrange Road to right before Route 83 are all packed in due to a vehicle fire this morning with a right lane block, and inbounders between Cass and Route 83 are all jammed up with gapers this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy with a bit of rain. High 52 today. Stray showers. Otherwise, mostly cloudy and colder. Low 25. 49 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston is raising his profile of late as a out and proud sanctuary city mayor. He's going the opposite direction of Eric Adams. He is not sheepish at all about his parent support for open borders and his willingness to resist any efforts in his city to deport people in this country illegally. He had this to say about his willingness under the possible threat of prison to stand athwart the Trump administration and Tom Homan yelling stop.
I would certainly protest it, and I would expect other residents would do the same.
Trump's new borders czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact. Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems. Republican and Democratic presidents in the past have all tried to find solutions to these problems. President Reagan helped people get access to work so they could stay and support themselves. Biden and Harris worked on restricting entry at the border to close down. There are a lot of ways to approach this problem. We don't think it has to come to this. But yeah, I think when you look at, Ralph Carr has always been one of my heroes. He was the governor who in the middle of the internment of Japanese Americans said this was the wrong thing to do. And he stood up. It was unpopular. People were mad at him about it. That was in the middle of a wartime. If the president or any of his actors are going to do things that we think are illegal or immoral or un-American, we'll stand up against them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
As typical of the left, the insulting comparisons, at least if you're somebody who knows anything. Many in the left are not, so they're not insulted. The internment of Japanese American citizens, you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Japanese American citizens during World War II. They were citizens of this country, right, Mayor Johnston? They were here legally. Citizens. You understand the difference? And that was wrong.
Yep.
And they were, those individuals who were wrongly interned were compensated. The FDR administration made a mistake. That was unconstitutional, and it was unconscionable.
Right.
In addition to that, that was immoral. You know who has the same position that they do? You do, Mayor Johnston. You have the same position because you don't care about citizenship. That's the underlying position. You didn't care. They don't care. FDR didn't care about the rights of American citizens, and neither do you, Mayor Johnson, and any other sanctuary city mayor. So you want to have your moment where you think you're going to be some seminal figure that's remembered as being on the right side of history and standing up against the bullies for the downtrodden. You go ahead, because that's not how it's going to be recorded. Rand Paul, hardly someone accused of being a big government guy. Him and his Kentucky mate on the House side, Tom Massey, probably the most libertarian of the Republicans in their respective caucuses. He had this to say about Mike Johnston's PR stunt on Face the Nation.
That the mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
The insurrectionists, the sanctuary city and sanctuary state politicians, the real insurrectionists. You want to see people like Mayor Johnston arrested if there is a colorable claim under the law, sort of as Tom Homan suggested, perhaps. I mean, if you're in the business of harboring a fugitive, you're in the business of illegally interfering with a federal law enforcement operation, those are crimes. You can be a public official, but you're not completely insulated from criminal penalty for violation of criminal laws. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. By the way, the practical implication, even just setting aside the potential civil, political, civil, criminal penalties for politicians like Mike Johnson, the practical implication of these policies, as we know all too well in Chicago, well, here's Oakland in the sanctuary state of California. How's it going in Oakland? They've got a bit of a cash crunch there.
Oh no.
They're like BLM Brandon. They're having a bit of a challenge trying to figure out their budget. So who takes it? Who takes the brunt of it?
To cut already shortened police department makes absolutely no sense. And to cut the fire department means absolutely no sense.
Tahira Hodge worries about possible cuts to police and fire. She and her family evacuated from their home last month in the Keller fire. She credits the fire department for saving her neighborhood.
I looked out and I saw all the smoke and there was some fire in the trees, and I was like, oh my gosh.
In a contingency budget plan released in June, the city talked about reducing the police force down to around 600 officers. Right now, the city has roughly 670 officers. Oakland had 613 officers back in 2013, so 600 would make it the smallest force in years. The contingency plan would also brown out a handful of fire stations, freeze positions across city departments, and reduce hours at rec centers, libraries, and senior centers.
So who takes the brunt of it?
American citizens, yeah.
Right.
I remember Mayor Johnston, 2 days ago, he talked about we're taking away from the DMV and park services to reallocate funds for illegals. Does that make sense? Who's putting who first? And he lives near Aurora, where Trende de Agua took over 2 apartment complexes. I know it was only 2, Martha Raddatz, but it was still 2.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to get. Those are the people that they're going to deport first. And he's going to stand in the way of that? Go ahead. I'd love to watch him get arrested.
The response to these big blue cities, from the sanctuary mayors of these big blue cities, with the exception of Eric Adams, has been to Trump-proof their cities. They're carrying on about mass deportations and trying to continue the positioning they took in the run-up to November 5th. I mean, I understand the majority of the cities, the majority of the population in these cities did not vote for Trump. But the ground is crumbling underneath their feet, and I don't think they have a full appreciation for it. I think Eric Adams is starting to have a better sense of which way the wind is blowing on this and is moving along accordingly. So it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a moment, because if there's one thing I'm supremely confident about with the incoming Trump administration is that Tom Homan is as serious as a heart attack when it comes to doing exactly what he continues to outline day after day on with anybody who will talk to him, which he has been doing for years. He did it during Trump 1. He did it in exile over the last 4 years, including on our show a number of times. It's the same message. It's the same program because he knows it works. It worked. It was working in Trump 1.0, and it will work in Trump 2.0. It's just a much bigger challenge now because of what has transpired over the last 4 years, and he recognizes that. Phil in Maryville.
Yeah, morning, guys. I think it's a great idea. These Democrat politicians are fighting the immigration, and that's going to attract illegals to those cities, and it would make it a lot easier to get them all at once, because those politicians don't realize they're just like a magnet for illegals, and we could get more by doing that, actually.
Thanks for the call. Venezuelan migrant charged with mugging a 50-year-old woman in the Loop. 3rd arrest in a month, 6th arrest in the past year. Confronted, the woman was confronted. She got in her car on the 500 block of South Wabash last week. She hit her head. She said he hit her in the head with an aerosol can, wrestled away her Coach purse, according to Chicago police. And fortunately, she was okay, other than the trauma of the robbery. But here again, this is, again, an illegal from Venezuela, arrested for the 3rd time this month and the 6th time in the past year. I tell you, you have enough leftists get literally mugged by the reality of open borders, and you're going to start to see even more movement than you saw in the run-up to November 5th. So, as I say, you want to go to the mat, BLM Brandon, and Mike Johnston in Denver, and all of these other big blue city mayors. We'll see. Dan, Salem, Wisconsin.
Dan and Amy, please hear me out. I've been in business for 39 years. I own a tree service, and I do, like landscaping. I clean up leaves for people, stuff like that. These mayors don't realize what they're doing to us. All these illegals, I mean, not all, please, so I'm not going to put them all in a bowl, but a lot of them are going into the outside work, and I don't have any work. It's been so slow this year. I'm lucky if I could pay my insurance, my property taxes on my business park, which I bought 3 acres so I can park my equipment legally. There's no work. And I don't know if it's the economy, but I see a lot of these illegals in my profession, and it's hurting us. So Mr. Johnson and the other guy, the mayor that's supporting all this, and Prisoner, you don't realize that you're killing citizens with their businesses that honestly work up from their own pockets, their own cash, and never got no assistance from the government. I bought old equipment. I worked my way up and saved my money, bought an aerial lift, bought 3 acres in a business park. I'm going to lose everything if these people don't wake up and realize, see, it doesn't affect them. It affects the little guy like me, Dan and Amy. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Dan.
Good luck, Dan.
Denver Public Schools, the Board of Education backing Mayor Johnston. Of course, they have the same position. I mean, we might as well be talking about Chicago. A board member there, Scott Esserman, addressing those in attendance. If you're a student who is undocumented or a family who's undocumented, we will take care of you. That is our responsibility. We're here to do that. I think it's important you hear that. We're here to take care of you. That's our responsibility. The Denver School Board is representing to people in the country illegally residing in Denver, sending their kids to Denver government schools. Yeah, same thing you would hear here. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I've said this before. Bus them. Before Trump gets in office, bus all these people to Denver, Chicago, wherever, all these sanctuary cities and states, and then Trump and the administration can say, you know what, we're not doing anything. You got those people, you keep them. So get another 10,000 kids in CPS for another bunch of flunky teachers to do nothing and take all the time off. All the crime, and when people's kids are dying of drug overdoses and getting their throats slit and carjacked and what have you, maybe then things will finally come around. Until then, they're just not going to learn. You guys have a good one.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Yeah, well, it's interesting because I think Eric Adams is on that program. Anybody, Mike Johnston, raising your hand in Denver? We'll send a busload your way. Brielle and Brandon? Yeah, Eric Adams, he's walking the middle here, but I just go back to him because it's just going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. If you start to have some internecine arguments when Eric Adams perhaps adopts the posture of a Ron DeSantis or a Greg Abbott and starts shipping the illegals who've been shipped to him to places like Chicago and Denver. That'll be a moment.
Yeah.
Marty in Naperville.
Hey, good morning. I'm surprised Marty's attacks aren't happening. Any morning, go to Plymouth Court, South Dearborn, all that area down there. They're nothing but hanging on the corners. They're pot. You can see the wave of pot. It's unbelievable. Go there right now.
Near the Standard Club. It's disgusting.
All that. On South Dearborn, there's an old hotel that's a beautiful hotel. I was there a few weeks ago because they needed some coils in there. And you should see these rooms these people live in are beautiful rooms. They're destroyed. And like I said, you walk down the street, and I'll be honest with you, I carry what I call my tire checker with me because if somebody comes up to me, they're getting bopped in the head. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I am shocked more people aren't getting jumped in the loop.
Good luck in Thunderdome down there, Marty. Venezuelan, to Marty's point, Venezuelan migrant charged with trying to murder another migrant this week. Told cops he did it because the victim murdered a friend of his last week.
Okay. Street justice, right, Dan?
Yeah. That's how they do it in Caracas. Well, that's how they do it in Chicago to a large extent, too, actually. So we want to import more of that. That's my understanding? I have that correct? Oh, and by the way, just in terms of what we're funding, I mean, this is, this is not one thing. You want to talk about something that, to borrow a favorite phrase of the left, that needs a whole of government approach. The United Nations is providing prepaid debit cards and cash to migrants traveling toward the U.S. border using funds from Americans, like American taxpayers. Their 2024 plan provided $1.6 billion in aid across 17 countries, including $372 million in cash assistance for over 600,000 migrants. While initially labeled as aid for Venezuelans, the report specifies assistance extends to all nationalities. And this is, of course, more incentive for illegal migration. And we're funding the incentives for people to make their way to the southern border and enter this country illegally. And then we're funding them again when they come here and they're released into this country to reside here illegally. Boy, it's real soup to nuts funding program we've got going on under this administration. Oh, boy. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, maybe these big blue city insurrectionist mayors should be sent to Guantanamo Bay.
Thanks for the call, George. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, the 6 words in the English language that you never want to utter, particularly when you're pulled over by police. 6:06.
I think I figured it out. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A man killed, a woman injured in a Little Village shooting. A juvenile charged after a downtown Chicago shooting. A body recovered from the water on Chicago's near south side. Bears fall to the Vikings in an overtime heartbreaker. And the Fighting Illini Hoops take on Arkansas Little Rock tonight. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
The fighting may soon stop in Lebanon. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Israel's ambassador to the U.S. says a ceasefire deal with Iran-backed Hezbollah militants could be just days away to end fighting that's included deadly rocket fire into Israel and Israeli airstrikes that have killed numerous Hezbollah leaders.
Israeli media outlets are reporting Israel has tentatively agreed to a U.S.-backed proposal. According to reports, not all issues have been resolved, but Jerusalem has approved the main principles of the truce.
That's Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. 3 arrests have been made in the United Arab Emirates in what Israel has condemned as an act of anti-Semitic terror. The killing of an ultra-Orthodox rabbi, Zavi Kogan, who went missing last week in Dubai. All 3 taken into custody in his death are Uzbek nationals. President-elect Trump's picked to be the next national security advisor. Republican Congressman Michael Waltz tells Fox News Sunday they'll focus on punishing adversaries who take hostages and stopping Russia's war in Ukraine.
We need to bring this to a responsible end. We need to restore deterrence, restore peace, and get ahead of this escalation ladder rather than responding to it.
This after Russia launched a new type of missile last week, days after Ukraine for the first time used American-provided long-range missiles to fire deeper inside Russia. A Boeing cargo plane being used for shipping giant DHL crashed this morning.
It skidded into a house after crashing a mile short of the airport at Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania. Security camera footage shows the aircraft descending rapidly out of sight before a fireball fills the night sky. 12 people on the ground were taken to safety. At least 1 member of the flight crew was killed.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Some Americans will get a head start today on what's expected to be record Thanksgiving travel. About 80 million people going somewhere for the holiday. And this morning, President Biden will carry out a pre-Thanksgiving tradition, pardoning 2 turkeys at the White House. America's listening to Fox News.
48 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man was killed, a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon along West 26th Street in the Little Village neighborhood. A 43-year-old man was struck multiple times. A 41-year-old woman in the leg. Man was pronounced dead at nearby Mount Sinai Hospital. The woman this morning is in good condition. Also nearby, a shooting on Sunday left a 16-year-old dead and a 15-year-old injured. The teens were standing along South Avers Avenue when someone opened fire. A juvenile is facing a weapons charge following a Saturday night shooting near Chicago's flagship Macy's store that wounded a 19-year-old woman. The Chicago Loop Alliance says no immediate changes to security are planned, citing existing holiday patrols. Vikings prevail in overtime after toppling the Bears, 30-27 at Soldier Field. Bears tight end Cole Kmet said he thought they had a chance in overtime.
There when we first got the ball, and you never want to put it in their hands at the end of the game. So just unfortunate, but again, proud of the way the guys we fought today, and the result's the result, and it hurts.
Chicago's now 4-7, and there is a quick turnaround as they take on the Lions on Thanksgiving Day in Detroit. A man's body was pulled from the water Sunday morning near South DuSable Lakeshore Drive on Chicago's near South Side. Marine Unit members found the victim, who was pronounced dead at the scene. The Bulls looked awful on defense in a weekend loss to Memphis. They take on the Wizards tomorrow night. The Blackhawks lost to Philly on Saturday. They host the Stars on Wednesday. College football recap. Number 22 Fighting Illini score late to beat Rutgers, 38-31. The Illini, 8-3, are at Northwestern this Saturday. The news service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 7:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
German pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer joined a deadly plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler during World War II. And now his story of risking his life to save others is coming to theaters November 22nd. Win a trip to New York to meet Bonhoeffer scholar Eric Metaxas and see a Broadway show by entering today at 560theanswer.com/NYC. That's 560theanswer.com/NYC. And get your tickets today to see Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin in theaters November 22nd.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I heard about it for 3 months and I kept wanting to do it and I just didn't. And I finally said, I'm going to do it. I just feel overall better, but I've continued to take it.
Oh, I really like them. I feel good while I'm on them, and they're easy to take, and they seem to be working well.
I love it. I love the product. And not only the product, the people that work for them, too, are really nice. That's another plus. It's the best product on the market.
I think it's a good product, so that's the reason I'll continue to take it.
It's a wonderful product. I'm trying to get as many people as I can to take it.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality, professional-level window replacement. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella-certified contractor. Visit valdecast.com. Kennedy at 30 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson outbound, accident, and a car fire outbound between LaGrange Road and County Line Road. And an accident on the Tri-State this morning. You have a right lane block southbound right at Duffy Lane. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Here's AccuWeather's Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, a bit of rain, the high at 52. A shower or two this evening. Otherwise, clouds and cold, low tonight 25. Breezy cold day tomorrow, clouds and sun, high 39. And then cloudy on Wednesday, the high at 43. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
49 and clouds at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, the 6 words that you never want to utter, particularly in the context of a police stop. Well, if you're not familiar with the 6 words I'm speaking of, then you should get familiar with Samantha Steele. She is a member of the Cook County Board of Review.
Don't you know?
This is where the body that adjudicates property tax appeals, that for the most part, except when our friend Dan Patlack was there, is captured by the Madigans and the Burks who write the property taxes and then
own companies that reduce people's property taxes, big corporations.
Well, it's not owning companies, it's self-dealing. Yeah. They write the property tax law, then they go get the biggest property taxpayers and say, hey, I got some friends at the Cook County Board of Review. Maybe I can get that reduced for you. The property tax I imposed on you. Maybe if you cut me in for 30%, I can get that reduced for you. It's a nice little racket. So Samantha Steele is one such person. And she was pulled over a few weeks back in Andersonville, DUI stop. And this is how that went.
She says she knows you. She said you texted her.
She's my friend.
Okay, so exit the vehicle
No,
then.
I'm not leaving the vehicle.
Ma'am, if you don't exit the vehicle, I'm going to help you to exit. And you don't want that.
You don't want that.
I'm
an elected official.
I actually do. Elected official of what?
Cook County.
Cook County. You elected which office? What's your name?
I'm Sam.
Sam who?
Hey, Sarge, is it okay for her friend tells her to walk out, to step out?
No, she's saying she's an elected official of Cook County.
I don't want to be on the video.
Oh, you are on video.
You are on video.
You are on video, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So you need
I'll
to...
wait for my attorney.
Okay.
Nope, I'm waiting for my attorney.
So you're in charge.
She's not exiting.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make her exit. And we do. She is not compliant right now, as you can see.
Does she?
And she'd say she's an elected official of something. We don't even know.
Yeah,
Does
something
she
or
need to
other.
be
Exactly.
compliant at
Who
this
isn't?
moment?
Water
Of course she
reclamation?
does. She was
Well, I
involved in
mean,
an
can she
accident.
wait? Can she wait for her attorney?
This is her.
No.
Well, regardless of
She
the
was
attorney being here
involved
or
in an
not,
accident.
you
Okay.
still have to conduct a field
Even
survival.
if the attorney is here, there's nothing he's gonna tell her. She was involved in an accident, and we're doing our investigation. And obviously, she doesn't want to. Ma'am. Okay, here's the thing. You were involved in an accident, correct? So you're gonna have to exit. If you don't exit, then we're gonna make you exit.
Accident hit the car.
Can you give her a
Sorry,
second?
that's
I think you should do
Give
that.
her
that.
a second.
That's all you have to do.
That's the attorney.
Get out
He
of
told
the
her you
car.
have to exit.
I think that's
Okay, he told you to exit.
you need to get out of the car. Yes, do that. That's all you got to do, and then wait for me. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
I'm waiting for him.
Yeah, you gotta come out.
You get out of the car.
Exit
I'll
the
be there.
car.
Okay, be careful with traffic. Stay right here. Stay right here. Don't want you to go out. Get involved in the accident.
Okay.
It's fine.
Now you can hang up the phone, ma'am.
No.
We're still doing our
My
investigation.
attorney.
Okay. Now, tell your attorney, since he's on the phone, are you going to do field sobriety tests or no?
No.
Okay.
No,
Are you
wait,
being
wait.
arrested? You say no. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
Me too.
We were waiting for that. Because she just refused. I asked her to do field sobriety tests and she refused. And she smelled like alcohol. She's been drinking. Oh, so you've been recorded all this time. You've been recorded.
Yeah.
All right?
And she was drunk enough, she almost walked into traffic. She had to be saved by police there. You know, I am not a proponent of police brutality, but Samantha Steele certainly tests my position on that issue. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, as well as the text line. Do you know who I am?
I mean,
those
crashed.
6 words.
Yeah, never say them. She crashed into 2 parked cars, by the way. That's why they pulled her over, and then she refused to get out. And there was Cook County Commissioner Scott Britton. He was with Steele, too, at one time acting like her criminal attorney on the scene. So I don't... was
like
he drinking with her, too? Why didn't they test him? I mean, they're out at a party together.
He's driving. He's not driving, apparently. I don't know, but you hit parked cars, and police
Sorry,
think
Toots.
maybe you may have been drinking. Why would they think that? I like the I don't want to be on camera. Wait, aren't you the same people that like body cams for all these cops because cops are out there, preying on minorities and so on and so forth. So we need to make sure we've got cams on the cops at all times. Samantha Steele is a good example of the case I make for body cam videos on all elected officials. Let's watch what they do on a daily basis. Let's watch them on the job whenever it is they say they're on the job.
Yeah, we just played a snippet, but the entire video is 25 minutes long.
Well, of course.
It's insane.
Of course.
It's being described. But I love how she tried to clout her way out of the DUI. Don't you know who I am? I don't. Did you know who she was, Dan, before this?
Yeah, I know who she was because that's my job. But otherwise, the police officer's position of she's some sort of elected official is just fine because that's the same basic knowledge. Well, that's the same basic knowledge most everybody else in Chicago has of her, which is no knowledge. And if you tell somebody, I'm a member of the Board of Review, they say, oh, well, isn't that good for you? I don't know what that is. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. But, the political ruling class mentality on display, not to mention and I understand that she was under the influence, but what a dimwit she is, too. What a ditzy. And the resistance, I'm controlling this stop. No, I'm not going to get off the phone. No, I'm not going to get out of the car. And she'll be the same person. You know how the politicians are. I have so much respect for police. When a police officer instructs you to do something, you should comply. The police do this dangerous job. We know how dangerous traffic stops are and so on and so forth. But then when it comes to her, then we get all of the, do you know who I am? No, I'm not doing this. You talk to my attorney. I'm in charge of what's going on here. I thought the police were positively restrained, actually, even rhetorically, to deal with this nitwit. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. She's not the only one.
Oh, there's more?
I've got another DUI stop, which is just a Jim Dandy. This is because this goes from field sobriety test to arrest to the custodial to blow or not to blow question. Second grade school teacher. I think she's second grade. Elementary school teacher, Lake Forest.
Oh, no.
Becky Miranda. This is great.
Uh-oh.
She was pulled over on suspicion of driving under the influence. I think in and around Lake Forest, like off Deer Path or something, maybe right on Deer Path. Anyway, this is how it started.
Is 46-year-old Becky Miranda, a second-grade teacher who may have miscalculated how many drinks she could have before driving. Moments later, another officer arrives when we get a better look at the suspect.
I'm not going to do this on this road.
Okay, so
This is
you will submit to
inappropriate.
standardized some testing if we move to the next road.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'm not doing this on this road. This
I'll
is
work with you, Becky.
inappropriate.
Listen to me. I'll work with you, but we can't let you drive your car to that road then. Or would you prefer we could do this at the station? That way no one sees.
No, seriously. Please. This is inappropriate. You shouldn't have pulled me over. I was driving the speed limit.
Okay, Becky,
this is inappropriate.
I don't know how many times I have to repeat myself. You weren't pulled over for speeding. You were pulled over for a lane violation, where you went over the double solid yellow lines, okay? Almost going into oncoming traffic. That's why this officer pulled you over.
Becky, can you do me a favor and step out so we can do this out here?
No,
so we have the lane blocked off.
The sooner we get this done.
On this road.
It's on the side of the road, not to get hit. Is there a reason why you don't want to do it here?
Yes, it's embarrassing. I'm a teacher.
No one's going to see you.
Becky, no one's watching.
Am I going into your car?
No, you're going to step out here.
My car is going to block the view of you even doing.
Tell me what you want me to do.
Well, I would like for you to step out the car. We're going to be behind your car. I have my car blocking our view. No one can see. No one's going to be able to see. And I want to check your eyes and just put you through 2 other fields after that.
I can't do this. I'm a teacher in the community. Can you put me someplace else?
Becky.
I can't do this.
Okay, would you like to come to the station then?
No, I'm not going to the station.
All right, so this is your only option is to do this here.
She doesn't want to be embarrassed by having to do a field sobriety test on that road because it's a heavily trafficked road. She doesn't want to go to the station, then come to the waterworks. She will say over the course of the snippets we'll play, this is so inappropriate, and I'm a school teacher, member of the community, Lake Forest mom. I mean, relentlessly on the question of to blow or not to blow after the field sobriety test, which she didn't do a great job. I watched it.
I passed your test, please.
Ready?
Please.
I understand. Can you please?
No, I'm seriously, you're like a junior cop,
You're a
asking
junior
me
cop.
to do this. Come on.
Becky, take a deep breath in. Becky. Becky, we're almost done, okay?
No!
You want to do it?
You said you were going to do it, so did you change your mind? I just need you to do one big blow.
No, they're taking me to the station if I say no.
No, we're not. That's not true. You can say no.
That doesn't dictate it.
Then I'm saying no. I said that to them. I said no.
You're going to be under arrest.
Okay.
You're arresting me if I say
We're not.
no.
That's not.
That's not.
That doesn't dictate if you're going to be under arrest or not.
I don't know if the fact that she can't process any information in terms of what they're saying is a condition of her inebriation or it's just a condition of being a North Shore female. I don't know. A female of the left.
Lake Forest mom.
I'm presuming. So that was, the waterworks continue. I'm not going to comply. And then she continues to go back and forth, not understanding what police are saying. And then, of course, she's arrested.
Listen, Becky.
I'm not.
Let me talk to you for a second. Becky.
Seriously, can I just go home?
Listen, Becky, this is optional.
I passed your test.
You showed signs of
No, I
consumption,
didn't.
and if
You
you're
weren't
going to
even you weren't even here.
I was watching from a distance.
No.
I did. You don't have to do it. Let
I
me tell
said
you.
no.
You showed multiple clues that
All
you're
right, put it away.
intoxicated and under the.
We're not doing this.
All right, put your hands
you
on
are
your back.
doing this. You're under arrest.
You're under arrest. Hey, put your hands behind your back.
They're
Becky.
arresting me if I don't do that.
That isn't dictated.
That's not why
I got it.
No, then no. No.
Do not
Put your
resist
hands
being
on your back.
arrested, okay?
No. Okay. I will blow. I'm not doing this.
Okay, we'll give you another chance at the station.
Okay, great.
Here, can you face that way, please?
You'll have another chance at the station, okay?
Do this.
We just said you could.
I can't have this on my record.
It just goes back and forth. I mean, she goes back and forth on all of these matters, continuing. I don't know how to, I guess in her mind, to wriggle herself out of this, even while she's insulting the police officers. You heard her say to the one guy, "You're a junior cop," and telling them what they can and can't do, and so on and so forth. It's astounding to watch. Now she's in custody.
Okay.
Back at the station, we take. The next scene, we take you back to the station,
Thank you, Dan.
and here's her conduct while in custody at the station.
You're going to have to go to court. Listen, you're getting charged today. Whether you get convicted at court, that's a whole nother story. That's really up to the judge. You'll have to talk to your attorney about all of this and see what the judge decides at court, okay? So, do you want to sign this? You'll get a copy of it. It's like a receipt. By signing, you're not admitting to any guilt.
What am I signing for?
Basically, you're just
inappropriate.
by you
I'm
signing.
literally going home to my house after my son's basketball game. Come on. Seriously, people, there are so many criminals doing so many bad things. I'm a teacher.
I understand.
I'm doing nothing besides going to my son's basketball game, and you guys are literally arresting me. Come on. Do you guys literally think this is what you guys want to do in your lives? Arrest moms who are going to their kids' games, having fun with their friends, and come on, this is so inappropriate.
Becky, by you signing this, it's just acknowledging that Officer Cordova read this to you, and then you can get your copy.
I know. Cordova has no clue what he's doing.
He doesn't
He's
know.
like a 22-year-old, doesn't even know what he's doing.
Is she ripping on the cop again?
Mm-hmm.
This is so inappropriate.
Okay.
Totally inappropriate.
Seriously, people, are we seriously, arresting the moms of Lake Forest?
Arresting the moms of Lake Forest. Becky Miranda, elementary school teacher. I wanted to make sure we included this, so it's not just for politicians. There's also an entitlement mentality, sort of generally speaking, among perhaps some of the moms of Lake Forest like Becky, and also because Becky didn't want any of this to be made public. Of course, she's worried about her job and so on and so forth. So particularly given her conduct, I wanted to make sure that it was made additionally public beyond the video that was posted on YouTube. Paul and Carrie, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, what's really deplorable about these despicables is that they're the same people, if the cops were let them go based on their celebrity status, and say 2 blocks later strike a person and kill them, they would use that as part of their defense that they should have been stopped the 2 blocks ago and should not have driven any further.
Thanks for the call, Paul. By the way, when this went back and forth while she was in custody a few times, and she had to be taken over to Lake Bluff to blow if she was going to blow, do the test, and she kept saying no, yes, and then finally she agreed to do it. And remember how she said she had 1 drink when she was did the field sobriety test, which was not great. When she was pulled over, she ends up blowing .14. So wasn't that close. Roy in Glen Ellen.
Yeah, Dan, I was on the job, and you're totally right. The elites are sometimes way worse than anyone else, and then they get to court and they end up pleading guilty right in front of you. And by the way, hey, does old Florida reciprocal with Old Wayne, perhaps?
People calling in for tea times, Dan.
Very good, Roy. No, not on the reciprocal list, Old Wayne. Although I like Old Wayne. I played there growing up many a time. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, this state, it seems like they're being told to not go too hard on some of these people that they pull over. And if you watch, like, the Arkansas State Police, they would have handled that in, like, 5 minutes on both cases. They would have been in the car. And another thing with the Illinois State Police, I travel 294 over that mile-long bridge, which is now 6 lanes on each side. You see semis in the far left lane. And the state cop goes right past them. They don't even pull them over or nothing, tell them to get over.
Yeah, don't get me started on left lane driving and yes, and the lack of trucks in the left lane. I mean, the semis in the left lane, unless they're doing a quick pass, very annoying. But I mean, the pacers in the left lane, in the passing lane. I mean, just don't even get me started. I'll go full Becky Miranda on you, crying, wailing. John in Portage Park.
Hi, my idea. Good morning. And my idea is simple: that everybody that works for me, school board, senator, president, before they make a vote or an important decision, they should take a blow test for alcohol, like you do on the DUI, and they should have weekly drug tests. I mean, they do it to the Army, private in the Army. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for anybody that works for me.
Thanks for the call, John. Tom in Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. It seems as if these leftist chickers are, it's something about if they're still in the car, they're going to be okay. But once they get taken out of the car, it's like there's a realization that the whip's going to come down on them. And what do? They start wailing like little babies. It's hilarious.
Well, they also, I mean, I know this is a word you're not allowed to use against in the description of women per, Sheryl Sandberg and Condi Rice, but they also get a little bit bossy.
Yeah, get a little lippy, huh?
Samantha Steele and Becky Miranda sort of had the same misunderstanding that they were somehow in control of that traffic stop, of their respective traffic stops. So maybe they'll want to go back and review the tape. I mean, their memory may be a little hazy from the night these events happen. Go back and review the tape and see if that casts them in the most positive light possible. Maybe the next time, in terms of the talk. Maybe we need to have the talk with some leftist suburban women, the Roffles, and some in the city too. Samantha Steele. The talk. When you get pulled over, comply, shut your mouth, and take your medicine. You're not going to win this on the street, even with the waterworks, although that probably works for Amy sometimes. No. You're not going to win this on the street, so this is why we have courts of law, the things that we say when it comes to, juvenile offenders, the things that parents say to their kids when they grow up and are of driving age, and so on and so forth. Maybe some of these Roffles in the Tony areas of Chicago and the suburbs need to talk too. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
This is I'm 97. I'm 86.
I'm 70 years old.
I've been a very happy customer.
That's some good stuff, I'll tell you.
I think it's wonderful stuff.
I like the product, and I'm telling a lot of people about it.
It's the best stuff in the world, and it's good stuff.
I'm 81 years old. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I walk every morning and every evening with my dog. Since I have been taking this balance of nature, I just can't say enough about it.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Got a text from a friend saying I'm the left lane thing. I go absolutely berserk. What I was talking about. To try and understand my attitude about improper manners.
Lane usage or manners? Yes.
Well, manners, lane usage. Yeah, when it comes to the left lane. Watch Russell Crowe in Unhinged. Okay. That is me when it comes to improper lane usage as it pertains specifically to the passing lane. That would be the left lane.
Okay. All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, another fury of new cabinet appointments and other important posts from President Trump over the last several days. We want to pour through the good, the bad, and the ugly because there's a little bit of all three. We'll do that at 6:36.
And later, gender reveal. We know what Justin's having, a boy or a girl. Find out. Oh, sorry. Yeah. His wife is pregnant. Thank you. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
48 degrees at 6:33. Officials in Egypt have just updated a tragic situation there. Over a dozen people are missing after a tourist vessel sank in the Red Sea. 28 have been rescued so far. Forecasters are saying Thanksgiving travel here could be messy because of the weather. AAA says 80 million Americans are expected to travel at least 50 miles from their homes over the holidays. Donald Trump is nominating Brooke Rollins to lead the Department of Agriculture. She served on Trump's Economic Advisory Council in 2016. President-elect Trump has filled up his core 15 cabinet positions, and now it's up to the Senate and Alaska Republican Dan Sullivan.
We have our advice and consent process. We go through that, but also to make sure that we're getting highly qualified cabinet officials. And I think in the case of who President Trump has put forward thus far, I think it's looking very strong in that regard.
2 people are dead. 9 others are injured after a violent weekend in Indianapolis. The Reverend Charles Harrison is with the 10 Points Coalition there.
And it's just hard to believe that we're at this kind of pace now where almost every day somebody's getting shot.
The Indianapolis Metropolitan Police say the 10 shootings happened over the course of just 12 hours. Longtime game show host Chuck Woolery has died. Woolery was the original host of Wheel of Fortune, but he's best known for hosting Love Connection, and he was 83. A man was killed, a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon along West 26th Street in the Little Village neighborhood. A dark-colored sedan pulled up. Someone inside opened fire, striking a 43-year-old man multiple times and a 41-year-old woman in the leg. The man was pronounced dead at Mount Sinai Hospital. Also nearby, a shooting Sunday left a 16-year-old boy dead and a 15-year-old child injured. A juvenile is facing weapons charges following a Saturday night shooting near Chicago's flagship department store, Macy's on State Street, that wounded a 19-year-old woman. Chicago Loop Alliance says no immediate changes to security are planned, citing existing holiday patrols. The Bears couldn't turn a miraculous last-minute comeback into a win, falling in overtime to Minnesota at Soldier Field, 30-27. Lions and Packers were winners in the NFC North. Saquon Barkley had 255 yards on the ground in the Eagles' Sunday night win over the Rams. College football recap: the Fighting Irish on a 9-game winning streak following a victory over number 19 Army. Number 22 Illinois, a late touchdown to beat Rutgers on Saturday. They take on Northwestern this Saturday. Northwestern blown out by Michigan in Ann Arbor. The news service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible to save, on average, 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back. Check at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka is still living on the high.
It still doesn't sink in. I catch myself several times a day just wanting to shout the words, he won. I don't think it's sunk in quite yet because so many people work so very, very hard. How do we know that? Because she lost over 10 million votes by comparison to Joe Biden.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Ever find yourself in a situation where your cell phone just won't connect? Maybe you're hiking through the mountains, sailing offshore, or caught in a storm that knocks out cell towers. In an emergency, your cell phone may not cut it. You need to visit the satellite phone store at sat123.com so you stay safe and never worry about dropping signals again. When hurricanes, hacking, or weather interruptions strike, stay connected with a satellite phone. Unlike cell phones, satellite phones connect directly to satellites, ensuring reliable communication from anywhere on the planet, no matter the conditions. Visit sat123.com to have peace of mind. Even now, areas affected by Hurricane Helene still lack cell service. But satellite phones, they're still working and 100% reliable. Don't wait for the next disaster. Secure your lifeline today with a satellite phone. Visit sat123.com. Stay safe. Stay connected at sat123.com.
I knew there had to be a better way to get relief from joint pain aside from surgery and harmful medications.
That's football legend and dancing champ Emmitt Smith, who knows a thing or two about joint pain.
Turns out I was right. It's called QC Kinetics, and now tens of thousands of patients and counting all across the country, they're feeling amazing. They say, hey, Emmitt, you were right.
QC Kinetics zeroed in on a technology that is revolutionizing pain treatment. They are transforming patients' lives. The largest provider of non-surgical regenerative treatments using natural healing properties to help restore and repair aching knees, hips, shoulders, and backs. Call them today for your free consultation.
QC Kinetics. I knew there had to be a better way. I love it when I'm right.
QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and this update is service of Mattress Firm. Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale is here. Your choice to hit the sleep jackpot. Starting Friday, shop major doorbusters. Get a queen mattress for $89.99 plus a free pillow. Offer in Sunday in-store. Pickup only. See store for details. The Kennedy at 40 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now at 42, 390 to the old post office. Tri-State clearing an accident southbound just before Duffy Lane, and in Warrenville, report of an accident, Winfield and Butterfield. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy with a bit of rain today, high 52. Stray shower, much colder, low clouds overnight, low 25. It's 50 right now at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So another rush of Trump nominations for cabinet posts and other key posts. Let's start with public health. This was so important, and one wonders, perhaps, until some of these appointments were made, what did Trump learn from COVID, from having the Francis Collinses and the Scott Gottliebs and the Tony Faucis of the world inside the perimeter of the administration. So what did he learn? Well, FDA director nominee, our friend Marty Makary.
Yeah.
I love that pick.
Me too.
Great pick.
No complaints here.
We're still hoping and waiting for Dr. J, not Julius Irving, but Bhattacharya to perhaps be installed at NIH. That would be good. The CDC director is the nominee, former Florida congressman who's been removed from Congress for a while. I think he left after the 2008 cycle, and a medical doctor for 4 decades. His name is Dave Weldon. Just to give you a little bit of a flavor, this is what he had to say in committee about vaccines back in the day. Now, of course, this is
pre-COVID.
Well, yeah, this is well before COVID, but it just gives you sort of a philosophy on science and asking questions and addressing concerns, even if you don't think the concerns are legitimate, but just sort of the mind's eye, his approach to medicine, science.
There's I think, some very, very troubling issues that have not been resolved. And the thing that I continue to find extremely disturbing is the fact that the CDC still does not allow researchers access to the vaccine safety data. If everything was so objective and any scientist at all can look at this stuff, it would be one thing, but they continue to deny people access to this information. And until we get a free and open dialogue within the scientific community, I don't think, for one, I will ever be satisfied that there isn't some data suggesting that some children may have serious side effects from some of these vaccines that is really going undetected, unnoticed, and yes, it may actually cause autism. To a certain extent.
So, I mean, raising the whole autism vaccine connection, but the larger point is to say, this is a decade at least before COVID, and he's raising the issue in committee in the House. Why can't we get essentially vaccine injury data? Why aren't we looking into this? Why isn't this being studied? Why isn't this being disclosed? Why aren't we having robust discussion about it? Well, that's the kind of attitude you want from the person in charge of the CDC, isn't it? After what we've experienced, what we all experienced during COVID, and frankly, still are. Not to mention the kind of person that maybe brings a reckoning and a bit of a clawback to the decision-making during COVID. That's good. Like that. But there is one public health nominee that I think is a little bit more problematic. Now, it's not, I don't think it's a huge deal because, frankly, the Surgeon General, it doesn't have, huge impact. It's another essentially medical spokesperson for the administration. But this Fox News regular, Dr. Jeanette Neshua, for Surgeon General, she was not good during COVID. Not good. I know because she was a Fox contributor. Well, here we'll have another person who's a good communicator. Well, she may be a good communicator, but then there's the question of what she's actually communicating. Well, Laura Ingraham and Dr. Mark Siegel, another contributor there, Siegel wasn't great on COVID either, especially early on. They're pretty pleased about it because she was regularly on Laura Ingram's show and because they're, rallying for their colleague.
She's a familiar face on Fox, obviously incredibly experienced, and has spoken so passionately about the trauma that families went through during COVID, especially alcohol abuse, drug abuse, everything that came about as a result of lockdowns and people not being able to interact with each other. She's also been an advocate for mental health treatment,
Absolutely.
Especially for young people, which I think is so important today.
And the last several advisories from the Surgeon General on Vivek Murthy on this exact issue, on the devastation the pandemic brought about on families and on young people, especially teenage girls. We're going to see more of that from Dr. Neshua. Very exciting appointment.
Yeah. It's not that exciting. We're going to see more of that. That's great. The mental health and the other deleterious impacts from COVIDian policies were COVIDian policies that were championed by Dr. Jeanette Neshua. Here she is pushing boosters.
Now have clear-cut, compelling data, a trial of 10,000 participants, this was just posted on the CDC website, that showed those who had a third dose, a booster shot, had significantly more improvement, more protection, more antibodies than those who did not have that third dose. So we definitely know, especially going into the winter holidays, having that extra protection can help minimize infection, can help minimize spread. So if you are especially over the age of 50, the CDC now recommends you should definitely get a booster. But over the age of 18, you can definitely get one as well, especially if you have asthma, diabetes, obesity.
Clearly, she drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, all of it. Pushing the vax on kids.
See, medical doctor and a Fox News contributor, Dr. Neshwa, I'd always good to see you. Do you think that they will greenlight? Hi, do you think they will greenlight shots for kids 5 to 11 years old?
I do. On October 26th, Pfizer will present their data set to the FDA Advisory Committee, and about a week after, on November 2nd, it'll go to the CDC. So I do think by Thanksgiving, many children under the age of 12 will have the opportunity to get vaccinated. And I think this is important, Eric, because we have about 27% of the COVID cases among children. We have more this past few months than we did at the start of the pandemic. And generally speaking, the risk of severe complications, the risk of death in children is extremely low. But they can still get sick, they can still spread the infection, and they can still die from COVID. So this might make a difference. We have about 28 million children who will be eligible for.
The FDA Advisory Committee that Pfizer presented to, remember, that's when you had a couple members of that advisory committee resign because of the phony science behind the push to extend the mandate to kids and the zeitgeist behind extending the vax to kids. And what we know now about the relative risk of the vaccine versus the relative risk of COVID in kids of that age group that are otherwise healthy. Oh, Dr. Jeanette Neshwa on masking.
Hey guys, you'll be happy to know that the CDC has updated its guidelines. If you've been exposed to someone who tested positive for coronavirus and you are symptom-free after 10 days, then you are cleared to go back to work. If you are symptom-free for 7 days with a negative COVID test, then you're also free to go back to work. But the baseline remains that you should still monitor your symptoms, wear your mask, and practice social distancing.
Ew, I don't want her anywhere near the Surgeon General's office.
She was just a mouthpiece for the public health establishment. Listen to this one. Congratulating Zuckerberg over at Facebook for censoring content around COVID. For censoring the Jay Bhattacharya's and the Marty McCarthy's of the world.
First of all, vaccines save lives, and I am so excited, and I thank and I commend Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg for taking action, because this affects everyone. This affects our children. It affects adults. I mean, just look at the recent measles outbreak, the biggest outbreak that we've had in decades with measles, and that's no joke. Measles can cause brain inflammation and pneumonia and ear infections and hearing loss and death, so it's about time that they are taking action, and I hope and pray that other social media platforms will follow suit and do the same thing.
Oh my God, pushing for censorship, okay.
So let's hope the combination of Weldon and McCarry and hopefully Jay Bhattacharya at CDC, NIH, FDA, respectively, that they win the day when it comes to the messaging on public health and science, or that Dr. Jeanette Neshwa does what she did during COVID, which is fold in with the new fold in with the establishment, but the new establishment, because again, she cheerleaded the vaccine, she cheerleaded Operation Warp Speed, Fox News contributor. I see what Trump likes in her, but those pronouncements that she made, her record during COVID, terrible. And the last thing we need is another Vivek Murthy, since his name was mentioned, who wanted the disinformation board and was promoting censorship too, in addition to promoting getting your 77th booster and all of that business. And more from Dave Weldon picking up where he left off in Congress and pushing for free inquiry and open dialogue about the science and the data, and doing the scientific work that the CDC has been loath to do because they only want to draw conclusions that are consistent with their benefactors, including in big pharma.
Right. True vaccine injury data needs to come out in regards to COVID and the shots, and especially the shots we gave to our kids, and that was the lowest risk group.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of the more recent appointments. So that one's a concern. I mean, again, I'm not lighting my hair on fire over it, but let's make assessments on the merits. Another concern is the woman, the congresswoman from Washington State. He leveled up for labor secretary, who is the Teamster guy, Sean O'Brien's preferred pick. She's not good. I mean, she's a teachers union, and Randy Weingarten supports her.
Oh, God.
So teachers union, flack, we don't need that. Supports the PRO Act, which would eliminate right-to-work law, effectively eliminate right-to-work laws in more than half the states, more than half the states in this country that have right-to-work laws. Don't need that heavy hand of the federal government on that issue. I'm talking about Lori Chavez DeRemer. Not a good pick, in my view. But again, hopefully this is okay. A sop to the Teamsters. The labor secretary doesn't have that much impact as long as she's not somebody that's being selected for the purposes of writing point on any of these matters. Not if you want a robust economy and if you want to reduce the influence of government unions, which the latter helps to advance the former. So, other picks, Besson for Treasury, Scott Turner for HUD, Brooke Rollins for Ag. I mean, I'm not going to go into those in detail. Maybe we will this week with some experts in the relative sectors. But public health is so important now more than ever. And with RFK Jr. there, too, there's going to be a lot of discussion and a lot of focus here. And there should. This is one of the areas where there's a great desire for reckoning, including at the congressional level with people like Senators Rand Paul and Ron Johnson. And so let's make sure we know the score with everybody, and we watch this very closely, and we apply pressure where it's appropriate. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gave Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey, Dan, real quick, did you see Matt Gaetz is on Cameo now?
Oh, good. We'll get him to sing happy birthday to you next year.
Well, he's $525, and I just found out that Anthony Scaramucci was $50. So thanks, you guys, for ponying up $50. I really appreciate it. But here's Matt Gaetz real quick. This is just so bizarre to me.
Hey, Lisa Kovac, it's your favorite former Congressman Matt Gaetz. I just wanted to thank you for being a longtime patriot, for supporting President Trump through thick and thin. And I know you were bummed out when the news broke that I wouldn't be the next Attorney General. We did get a great replacement in Pam Bondi. She's going to do an awesome job.
It's just so bizarre. I mean, would you ever do Cameo, Dan? Maybe it's too soon or something. I don't know if this is going to be his new gig. It's just bizarre to me.
I don't know. Well, he's not coming back to Congress. He said that. There's some talk, and he added to the talk about, maybe that there's a special prosecutor role in Matt Gaetz's future. I'm not sure about that. So, rumors about governor in Florida. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
Okay, and suggestion him, clear your glasses. Oy. Okay, once again, our Food for the Poor campaign is underway, as we help to provide life-saving food to children in Latin America and the Caribbean. During the season of economic decline, unemployment, rising food costs, you know what I'm talking about, millions of children and their families are suffering. They simply don't know where their next meal will come from. And this can lead to sickness, disease, and ultimately starvation.
So, again, this year we're partnering with Food for the Poor, which is a faith-based nonprofit relief organization that works directly with their partners on the ground in Latin America and the Caribbean to operate feeding centers. We've talked about it before in places like Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and a country beset by political violence and the resulting starvation and death. It's a very sad situation, and so Food for the Poor is doing what it can to try to aid people in these countries and their kids to just survive for now. As well as the other thing Food for the Poor does, which is great, is build infrastructure so that they can rely on themselves after, for example, infrastructure to ensure clean water is built. The relationship that they have ensures that the money we raise during the campaign is used efficiently to get food and water to children who need it most. So your gift of $50 can feed one child for an entire year and provide access to clean water for their entire community. For a gift of $200, you can feed 4 children for a year. That's the impact your gift can have. To make a gift of any amount, you just call 844-862-4673. Again, 844-862-4673, or you visit our website, 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor to make an individual donation of $50 or any amount.
Yep, and anything is appreciated. But if you're a business owner, listen up. If you make marketing decisions, too, for your business, then please consider becoming a business benefactor. Tax-deductible gift of $2,500 to Food for the Poor. AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air on this station Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. It's the best deal in all of Chicago radio. And at the same time, you'll be providing life-saving food for over 50 children in 1 year. We want to thank some who've already signed up: Chicagoland Midwest Performance Cars, freedomchamber.net, the National Shrine of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini. So thank you to them. And, of course, give them your business and keep them in mind when you're doing things. And we will sell out this year, so do it sooner rather than later. Call Ann Jeanette at this number, 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. And we thank you in advance for your generosity.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The junior senator from Illinois, one Tammy Duckworth, has weighed in on one Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. We'll start there with Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation at 7:07.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again and say good morning to Mike Scott.
6:59, and a man killed, a woman injured in a Little Village shooting. A teen dead, another wounded in another separate Little Village shooting. A search underway for a missing 83-year-old man in Chicago. The Bears fall to the Vikings, and the Fighting Illini take on Arkansas Little Rock tonight in college hoops. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
Israel and Hezbollah may stop fighting. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. There are numerous reports that Israel's agreed in principle to a U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal with the Iran-backed militant group in Lebanon after Israel already killed most of Hezbollah's leaders. Fox's Jonathan Savage reports.
Hezbollah would move its heavy weapons away from the border, with Lebanon's official military deploying between the two sides. A U.S.-led committee would monitor violations. Hezbollah began firing rockets at Israel after the October 7th attack by Hamas last year. The exchange of fire forced thousands of communities to be evacuated on both sides of the border.
Israel's calling the killing of an ultra-Orthodox rabbi in the United Arab Emirates an act of anti-Semitic terror. 3 Uzbek nationals under arrest in Zavi Kogan's death in Dubai. President-elect Trump's incoming national security advisor, Republican Congressman Michael Waltz, tells Fox News Sunday.
For our adversaries out there that think this is a time of opportunity, that they can play one administration off the other, they're wrong.
Waltz also says a priority when he takes office in January is to end Russia's war in Ukraine. President Biden will carry out a pre-Thanksgiving tradition later this morning.
President Biden will wield his pardon power today for a couple of turkeys.
The president is scheduled to participate in the annual turkey pardon, a tradition dating back decades. It will be the final time President Biden participates in the ceremony.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House, where the Christmas tree will arrive today as some Americans hit the road ahead of what AAA predicts will be a record Thanksgiving travel time. About 80 million Americans going somewhere for the holiday. A lot of theaters were crowded over the weekend.
That was you who made all that happen. How did you do it?
I don't know. I've never known.
Wicked set a record for a Broadway show turned movie with a $114 million debut, the third best opening weekend for a film this year. Gladiator 2 debuted in second. America's listening to Fox News.
7:02, 50 degrees. As we start the holiday week here on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man killed, a woman injured. Involved in a shooting Sunday afternoon in the Little Village neighborhood. A dark-colored sedan, according to police, pulled up. Someone inside opened fire, striking the 43-year-old man multiple times and the 41-year-old woman in the leg. The man was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital and later pronounced dead. Also in the afternoon, Sunday, a 16-year-old boy was shot and killed, a 15-year-old injured. The teens were standing along South Avers Avenue. The older teen, identified as Jesus Sanchez, was critically wounded at the scene and later died at a nearby hospital. A juvenile is facing weapons charges, all following a Saturday night shooting along State Street near Chicago's shopping mecca that wounded a 19-year-old woman. The injured woman ran into a nearby Macy's and was taken to the hospital in fair condition. Chicago Loop Alliance says no immediate changes to security are planned, citing existing holiday patrols. A bill moving through the Illinois General Assembly will make it easier to change a person's name. It's being criticized for including a loophole for illegal immigrants. The measure would alter Illinois law and not require a person to notify a newspaper following a name change. During a Senate hearing, Republicans raised concerns that illegal immigrants involved in criminal activity will use the law to evade authorities.
There's a loophole built into a bill that maybe started off good, but potentially is helping people who are here as non-citizens, especially the non-citizens that were caught in my county with almost 6 or 7 pounds of fentanyl, again, enough to kill people, half of Chicago, which is not insignificant.
State Senator Sue Rezin, the measure did pass out of committee on a 9-4 vote and will likely be taken up by the Illinois Senate in January. The Bears couldn't turn a miraculous last-minute comeback into a victory in overtime, falling to Minnesota at Soldier Field, 30-27. College football, the number 22 now Fighting Illini beat Rutgers, and they take on Northwestern this Saturday. The news service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
The new administration has hinted at one of its boldest moves yet, America's return to the gold standard. Backing the U.S. dollar with gold would create stability in a time of rapid economic change, pushing the price of gold higher than we've seen in decades. Those who act now could be positioned to benefit the most. Premier Gold specializes in helping those with a 401k, IRA, or other types of retirement accounts utilize a little-known loophole to move some of their savings into physical gold. Today, they'd like to send you a free free Gold Standard Kit to help you decide if this process is right for you. Call 606-800-8000 to take advantage of current rollover policies. Early action on physical gold could position your portfolio for maximum growth. Call Premier Gold at 606-800-8000. Call 606-800-8000 now. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm Rick. I'm in the best shape of my life. I play a lot of golf, I work out, and ride my bike. I'm 63 and I can still almost hit a golf ball 300 yards. I mean, when I'm in the gym, I can do 90-pound dumbbells. That's what I did when I was young. As long as I'm living, I'll keep taking my Balance of Nature because it makes a big difference.
Everything about your product is 100%. I look forward to it. I'll put it that way. I'm 71 years old. Balance of Nature is the absolute best product. I love your product. And you guys, when I call you on the phone, you're the best. So I'm very grateful.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code Chicago.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. In the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, in this update is service of Trim Light Chicago, Kennedy inbound 40 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange, Stevenson inbound already at 40 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Right now you're jammed up Harlem to Kedzie and the Reagan I-88. You got slow traffic on the ramp to the northbound Tri-State, backing things up on eastbound 88 between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with AccuWeather's Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, a bit of rain, the high at 52, a shower or two this evening, otherwise clouds and cold, low tonight 25. Breezy cold day tomorrow, clouds and sun, high 39, and then cloudy on Wednesday, the high at 43. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 degrees, cloudy skies. Next news coming up at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I don't think Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, of course, is quite out of the woods yet. I think he's in a pretty strong position. I think he'll get confirmed, even with this contretemps over this civil suit that he settled back in 2017. But there definitely is a push on, now that Gates is no longer the center of attention, a push on to bloody up Hegseth in advance of his confirmation hearing with several Dem senators, Pocahontas, and our very own junior senator from Illinois, declaring him unqualified. And one of the clear lines of attack will be on the identitarian politics inside the Pentagon that the left wants to protect, and Hegseth doesn't. Hegseth on that Sean Ryan podcast from a while back on trans in the military.
Because what the military did, I didn't finish the thought on that, is they committed a Bud Light. Like they, in search of a non-traditional constituency, they offended their core constituency. So there aren't enough lesbians in San Francisco to man the 82nd Airborne. Mm-hmm. And in trying to cater to that, they lost the boys from Tennessee and Kentucky and Oklahoma. The traditional dudes who did it because they loved their country, or they wanted the adventure, or they, wanted to try tough things, or they need an up and out of their community, whatever it is. They're like, if I wanted to do the woke crap, I could go to the local community college. Being transgendered in the military causes complications and differences. And the book kind of lays out the common arguments that those on the left or others make, which are baked in social.
So that's one piece of it. You can be sure they're going to come at him over those comments, and comments on women in combat roles in the military as well. First Hegseth, and then Duckworth, that junior senator from Illinois I was referencing, responding over the weekend on CNN.
I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
What's your response? Well, he's wrong, because the women have made us more effective. In fact, our military could not go to war without its 223,000 women who serve in uniform. We would have an ineffective military that was not capable of deployment if we were to pull out all the women and say, you cannot be in combat. For those women who are in roles such as the infantry or Navy SEALs, those women have met the same standards as the men in order to be assigned to those positions. So again, this shows that Mr. Hegseth is not qualified for the position because he doesn't understand, apparently, even after having served, that women are actually vitally important to an effective military.
Mm-hmm. So trans, women in combat, and of course the other line of attack will be his lack of management experience. Duckworth had this to say on that.
He never commanded a unit. He never commanded a company, let alone battalions, brigades, or whole armies. He was a platoon leader. He served at a very low level in the military, and we're talking about an organization that is 3 million servicemen and women and civilians, and a budget of over $900 billion. He does not have the experience to run an organization of that size. So just based on those requirements alone, he is unqualified for the position.
For more on this, please be joined by Stephen Bucci for our weekly conversation. Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. A visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies is where he is now. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me back on the show.
We've talked about the management thing, but I mean, I think it's a little bizarre to talk about commanding a unit in service. There are many Secretary of Defense who have not commanded a unit in service. But if you want to comment on that, and then the other issues, which will be, the source of more fodder because they're easy to understand and because they're identitarian politics oriented, they'll go after, he's against women in combat, he's a misogynist, he's against trans in the military or in combat roles, he's a transphobe. That seems to me where they want to really focus.
Yeah, look, the Democrats under Obama put Chuck Hagel as the Secretary of Defense. And I pointed out at the time that former Senator Hagel, people were going, whoa, he's perfect for the SecDef. He was a sergeant in Vietnam. Okay, being a sergeant in Vietnam doesn't disqualify you, but it certainly is not experientially, something that has direct impact on one's ability to be the Secretary of Defense, and frankly, neither does being a senator.
Right.
Senators don't exactly manage, multi-million person organizations. They have a staff of a dozen, So some of this stuff is kind of, it's baloney, and it's also two-faced on the part of Senator Duckworth, because she knows the same thing. I think it's a benefit that Pete has served in combat, has served at that tactical level. The fact that he's never commanded a division or a corps or an army, looking at some of the folks who have done those things, it's probably a benefit because most of them are so enamored with hearing their own voice that they're of no use. They don't any longer understand what the people on the ground level are going through today because their experience is 20 or 25 or 30 years out of date as far as that goes. With regard to the women in combat and trans things, I'm sorry, there's a lot of people who disagree with women in active combat roles. Now, Tammy Duckworth was a pilot. You know, if you want to say women can be pilots, okay. But when we we're taking all restrictions off all MOSs, military occupational specialties, so you can be a SEAL, you can be a Ranger, you can be an infantryman. Okay, those folks pass the schools, but if you look at the study done by the Marine Corps, they will show you the data that it is dangerous having women in those frontline combat units. It lowers effectiveness. It lowers cohesion. It breaks down the ability of those men to do their jobs without the distraction of worrying about the females. But, you know, you're no longer allowed to have disagreements on this kind of thing? They disagreed with the old policy for decades and until it was changed by the Senate. So, you know, that's kind of crazy. And the trans thing, the main argument there is that if you are in the process of transition as a trans person going one direction or the other, you are immediately non-deployable. So you cannot do the job for which you enlisted. You can't go anywhere. So there's a good readiness reason to say, you know, you wouldn't bring somebody in who had a disease that eliminated them from being able to deploy. We can't bring people in who have HIV because they are immediately non-deployable. Does that mean we hate people with HIV? No, but why would you deliberately bring somebody into your organization who you know not only do you have to pay for that transition, but while they're doing it, they can't do their job. So Senator Duckworth, with respect, is talking out of both sides of her face. She knows these same answers, but she's giving the woke thing and saying if you disagree with her, you are clearly a misogynist. Right. And that is a false argument on her part.
Well, of course it is. I mean, it shows they're still committed to the identitarianism that in part spelled their defeat on November 5th, which is unsurprising. But one of the things too, and maybe this is an opportunity for Hegseth to just explain this to the American people. I'm talking about his confirmation here. There is no constitutional right to serve in the military.
Yeah,
it is a privilege. Right? I mean, there are standards that need to be met, and if you can't meet the standards, physical or criminal background, there are things that disqualify people who want to serve from serving. And there's a particular stated objective in the armed forces, and we're not supposed to shape the armed forces around the interests of somebody serving. We're supposed to make sure we're recruiting people to serve who can aid and abet the mission. This shouldn't be complicated, but everything seems to be like if I want to do something, then I want to do it on my own terms, and that's not how the military is supposed to go.
No, not at all. And I will say one thing about Senator Duckworth's statement. One thing she said is true. There are thousands and thousands of women in the military who are in critical positions in our military. Well, you know, people don't understand that for every person that's pulling a trigger in our military, depending on the service, we have somewhere between 10 or 12 up to 20 or 30 other people who don't go anywhere near the booms, bangs, but they're critical to the mission. They're logisticians. They're people who do the supporting activities so those folks who do go boom and bang can do their job effectively. I don't think Hegseth is saying anything about getting those people out of the military. He's just saying they should not be in those frontline combat roles because of the downsides to the mission. Look, right now he's a citizen out in the population. He can believe whatever he wants on it, as long as he can, make the argument at his confirmation hearings that it's not because of some prejudice, which clearly he's shown no indication of it being involved with any sort of prejudicial thinking, any sort of gender bias. He's just making an assessment as a former combat leader as to what is going to get the job done and what is not going to help. And right now, he's right. All this woke training, it all is a decrement from the time that our folks need to be ready to defend the national interests and the population of the United States of America.
I just find it fascinating. There's 15,000 plus transgenders in the U.S. military. That is just an astonishing number. I had no idea it was so many. But what do you think should happen? I mean, should they be not allowed to serve in the military anymore? What if with this new administration?
I think people that are transgender and are transitioning. If somebody wants to be a trans person, and go and kiss the wrong gender, after duty hours, that's their business. But in unit, to sit there, the reason there's so many transgenders right now, Amy, is because they come in and it's mandated that the military then pay for all of the psychological part of the transitioning, which takes a long time. And then if the person desires all of the physical part, the medical changes, the drugs, if you wanted to do that, wouldn't you like to go in the military and let them pay for the whole thing?
Right.
Ultimate free ride for them.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's being celebrated, and you have spokespeople that are trans, and they're prattling on endlessly about inclusion, and which really is for them a synonym for entitlement. Something else that she said too, like just in terms of talking about Navy SEALs can we just be honest here? The idea that women are being forced to abide the same standards, physical standards, as men in the armed services, that's not true.
It's not. There's always been two different standards. There's still two different standards for the physical training tests. In those schools, there was so much scrutiny on the schools to make sure it didn't go in the opposite direction. They didn't throw somebody out just because they were female out of Ranger School or out of BUDS, the SEAL training, that it forced them to lower the standards either overall or in some cases specifically for the women. And I'm sorry, that's going to insult some folks. And I'll tell you what, the women who have gone through it, they're pretty tough. No doubt about it.
I'm sure, right?
The same as the men? No, I don't think so.
Right.
You all have to abide by the same set of rules.
Yeah, and I got a text from a friend she is West Point, and she served. And she's like, standards are not the same. Just like it's like this is part of the Trump mandate. Bring reality back to
armed services.
To confront reality. That's let's confront reality again. That's part of making America great again. This is not denigrating women or women in the military. It's like, let's be honest about what the landscape is, and then let's do things that make sense. With mission focus, not in terms of everybody's frickin' feelings all the time. Something else I wanted to get to, Stephen. This could be a remarkable moment. Not that I think Bibi has any plans on vacationing to Toronto, but Justin Trudeau was asked about this arrest warrant that the International Criminal Court issued for Bibi and his former Secretary of Defense there in Israel. And this is what he said. This is, our neighbor to the north, Western ally.
First of all, as Canada has always said, it's really important that everyone abide by international law. This is something we've been calling on from the beginning of the conflict. We are one of the founding members of the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice. We stand up for international law, and we will abide by all the regulations and rulings of the international courts. This is just who we are as Canadians.
Yeah, who we are as Canadians. So that means, yes, Bibi would be arrested if he stepped foot in Canada because of this ICC warrant. I know we're not a party to the treaty, but that's sort of, this is bigger than that. And the message that needs to be sent, even pre-inauguration, and for his national security team to Trudeau and the Western world about this, that America is not going along with this charade. Don't even think about doing that. There will be implications from us, the same way that Trump uses trade policy or energy policy to leverage other countries on other issues. I mean, this is a significant national security issue with these Western countries, including Western Europe and Canada, going down this rabbit hole, isn't it?
Yeah, this is, we've done this before. When we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, the International Criminal Court indicted my old boss, Secretary Rumsfeld, and President Bush. And Rumsfeld the next day said, well, gee, that's a shame. I guess we'll have to move NATO headquarters and all these other things that we have over there out of Belgium, because we can no longer do our job because of this crazy thing. And you know what? A day later, they dropped the indictments.
Mm-hmm.
I think America should stand up, and maybe Secdef Hegseth will get to do this, ought to say the same thing over this issue. It is ridiculous. There is no moral equivalency between Netanyahu and his former Minister of Defense and Hamas. Come on, give me a break. It is ridiculous. There's not even have done anything in any way, shape, or form that violates international law. The man bringing the indictments is a known anti-Semite and radical Muslim. Really? Do you think that's the man that should be the arbiter of whether Israel has done something wrong or not? I don't think so.
And meanwhile, Montreal's in flames as Trudeau gives over to the pro-Hamas protesters there, just like we've seen in big cities and college campuses in this country.
And
just obscene.
Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, he's a terrible dancer, too, and lip syncer. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, and have a happy Thanksgiving, both of you.
You too.
You too. Thank you so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Don't wait until the end of the year to move your assets around. Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 1-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. You have a true partnership with a team that is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kevin Bastuga, co-founder of Signature Bank. There's no better place to be for the holidays than Chicago. Signature Bank is wishing you a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It looks like Rebel Diners, Tom Sudeikis started it here, Rebel Diners. Geneva, St. Charles, western suburbs most recently after that hit list was put out by that Geneva Village board member. It looks like they need to franchise one in New Jersey. We'll start there at 7:37.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again. Here's Mike Scott.
7:33 on AM 560, The Answer. And for us, clouds throughout this day. We're also seeing some big changes in the weather coming up as temperatures will go down into the low 20s by later on in the week. But topping our news this morning, hopes are growing of a holiday ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah.
Say Israel's agreed in principle to halt its campaign against the Lebanon-based Hezbollah. According to Axios, the draft agreement calls for a 60-day window during which Israel would withdraw troops from southern Lebanon. Hezbollah would move its heavy weapons away from the border, with Lebanon's official military deploying between the two sides. A US-led committee would monitor violations. Hezbollah began firing rockets at Israel after the October 7th attack by Hamas last year. The exchange of fire forced thousands of communities to be evacuated on both sides of the border. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
It's more than weather that could impact your holiday travel. The FAA says air traffic could grind to a major slowdown during peak travel times because of staffing issues. Tuesday is expected to be the busiest travel day this week. As expected, Wicked soared to the top of the weekend box office. The musical grossing an estimated $114 million in its opening weekend. The giant sequel Gladiator in second with an estimated $55.5 million in its debut. A man was killed, a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon on West 26th in the Little Village neighborhood. Police say a dark-colored sedan pulled up. Someone inside opened fire, striking a 43-year-old man multiple times and wounding a 41-year-old woman. The man pronounced dead at nearby Mount Sinai Hospital. And a juvenile is facing weapons charges following a Saturday night shooting that caused chaos downtown along State Street. Police say the suspect fired shots, striking a 19-year-old woman outside the Macy's store. The injured woman ran into Macy's and was later hospitalized in fair condition. The Chicago Loop Alliance says there will be no immediate changes to security, citing existing holiday patrols. The Vikings prevail in overtime after toppling the Bears 30-27 at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams did throw for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Regardless of what happened, and the play is good, bad, we fought all the way to the end. And that's definitely encouraging. You don't want to be around people that are quitting, that are giving up. That's not the type of guys we have.
Chicago now 4-7. It's a quick turnaround. They face the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. Chicago sports also found the Bulls struggling over the weekend, losing to Memphis. They take on the Wizards tomorrow. The Blackhawks getting set to host the Stars on Wednesday. College hoops tonight. Number 20 Illinois will host Arkansas Little Rock. The news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify. AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees a battle coming.
From the intel community, from the National Security Advisor, the National Security Agency, they're going to spy on Trump. They're going to listen to every single phone call Trump has. They're going to bug Trump's office. And so from day one, we need to rip that thing down to first principles and anticipate that this is going to be a 15-round battle against the intel agency.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code KIND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code KIND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code KIND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
I've been playing sports all my life. Little football, basketball, pickleball, cross training, mud events, Spartan races and things like that.
For Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor, staying active means everything. So when nagging knee pain slowed him down, he didn't want drugs or invasive surgery. He found a natural way to get lasting relief. QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies.
We're using my body's natural abilities to get better. And that's huge. In time, that's going to be the way of the future. Using your own body's ability to heal. Now I can play day to day and not have that severe pain.
Now he's back out there doing what he loves, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Life is good. You're not going to slow me down.
Leave the pain behind and get moving. Book your free consultation today with QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
I don't need to tell you how important a good night's sleep is, but like most people, sometimes you can't fall asleep or you wake up during the night. That's why I want to tell you about Z-Factor. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free way to help you fall asleep faster, sleep longer, and sleep better. Z-Factor is from the makers of Relief Factor. Now, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you ease into sleep faster and sleep through the night. Just ask Maureen G. She said, quote, "This product broke a 15-year nightly cycle of lying in bed for hours before falling asleep," unquote. Or Bernard K., who said, "It cut down significantly the amount of times I wake up." Rediscover the joy of a great night's sleep, just like Barbara, who called it the best sleep I ever had. Try Z-Factor from Relief Factor and save 46% on your first order. Just go to ReliefFactor.com to order, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF for Z-Factor.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
740. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging those holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get a free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. Tri-State. If you're looking northbound, you're going to see delays between the Reagan I-88 and the Eisenhower merge. Southbounders, though, near the Lincoln Oasis, there's 2 right lanes blocked with a vehicle fire. Accident in Hoffman Estates, Barrington Road in Higgins. Police activity on the west side of Chicago has the intersection of Pulaski and Ohio all blocked up, and an overturned vehicle rollover crash in Oak Lawn this morning, 93rd east of Pulaski. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy with a bit of rain today, high 52. A stray shower, otherwise much colder with low clouds, a low of 25 overnight. 50 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting exchange between Andrew Sullivan and Donna Brazile on Maher's show over the weekend, talking about Trump's victory and with an eye towards Trump's trajectory over the last decade. Take a listen.
This white supremacist came into power, Donald J. Trump, that 8 years later, there are more black voters for Donald Trump than at any previous time. In fact, Donald Trump assembled the most multiracial coalition for the Republicans since Nixon. Now, that must surely blow up your worldview a little bit.
It blows damn right. I mean, look, black people want cheap eggs and cheap gas. What do you think? Black people want to go to the grocery store and say, give me a half a dozen for the same price I'm paying,
but
2 years ago.
But it means they weren't buying that he was Hitler.
No.
I didn't believe that.
Look, I don't blame black people. I don't blame white people. I don't blame even the young people. They want to change. Change is something we saw in 2008 when they voted for Barack Obama. Donald Trump is a disruptor. He's the only candidate I've seen over the last 50 years of being involved in American politics, somewhere I'm still over 12. He's the only person I've seen that has been able to grow his base in every cycle that he's run. So let's give him credit for being able to not just stabilize his base, but expand. Politics is about addition, not subtraction.
This is what
Donna Brazile is just such a hack. I mean, Andrew Sullivan is making an important point, but of course it's beyond her capacity or desire to acknowledge it. So she just goes back to, well, Hitler became a disruptor, and I don't blame anybody for voting for him. She'll just toe the party line and repeat the script in any given moment. Whatever you're supposed to say in the moment, you can expect Donna Brazile to be saying. If there's no thinking there, she is just a purveyor of political cant, and that's what you saw there again. It was very reminiscent of having to debate her several years back.
That's right. I remember that.
But the idea of this growing of the Trump base, how did that happen? How did that happen? Despite the relentless hyperbolic comparisons, despite the not just the hyperbolic comparisons to dictators, but also the actual processing of him as a criminal, the conviction, 34 felonies. He's a 34-time convicted felon.
And they tried that, and that didn't stick, and then they steered away from it, and then they said, he's a threat to the democracy. That didn't stick. So
sexual predator.
Sexual predator, that's right. He's a rapist. Look at E. Jean Carroll, or whatever, her crazy lady. Got a cat named Vagina. I mean, give me a break.
David Mamet, America's greatest living playwright, has an important piece in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, which really builds on a statement he made that I've been referencing for about the last year and a half, almost 2 years since he made it on Adam Carolla's podcast, which is his identification of what the left fears the most. In a word, it's exclusion. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. And he goes into it in terms of separating the leftist elites who benefit from this identitarian political rot that they've imposed on the country, and those who do not benefit but go along with it. I mean, that's the real rub. Why do people go along with it when they're not benefiting from it? Half of America not only abides but fervently supports a codependent decline to poverty, crime, and a nascent police state. Why? Writes Mamet. The leftist politicians and their media courtiers and designated beneficiaries profited from the perks of power. But why did the everyday American endorse them and fear and their fear-mongering? The actual threat wasn't global warming, Islamophobia, the Supreme Court, the police, immigrations and customs enforcement, or Mr. Trump. It was exclusion from the herd. And this is important because if you ever want to try to penetrate Illinois, you need to understand this mentality. Illinois, California, New York, these are the base camps for this larger cultural phenomenon that Mamet writes about. This existential secret. An existential secret is one whose revelation would destroy the group. If dad is a drug addict or a sex criminal, acknowledging it would shatter the family. The protection of the secret becomes the family's unifying endeavor. If anyone says anything, it might reveal that everyone is in on the secret. The sick family devotes all necessary energies to collusion, to mutual and self-censorship. During the past 4 years, American politics have been dominated by a coalition, each of whose members, like codependent kin, has its own investment in group integrity and the power it derives therefrom. The super rich, academia, Islamists, Marxists, and the media have all colluded to suppress the true and impose the false. We know their perfidies, lawfare, slander, blacklisting, and civil persecution were practiced on conservatives and Republicans, particularly Trump, but the suppression was primarily targeted at their own voters. You have to continue to keep up appearances, to protect the existential secret that what we're saying isn't true. That's the secret. Otherwise, as Mamet asked, why would rational people vote to destroy their borders, their cities, their jobs, and their children? For the same reason the sick family must tolerate its dysfunction. The co-opted liberal electorate was terrified that any deviation would result in destruction of its protective unit, as it would. In the energy devoted to accommodating lies, the mind puts them in the same category as the truth. The codependent pays a huge price from them, his self-respect. And he goes through the examples. Participating in the President Biden is as sharp as a tack, and he's exacting in meetings, and so on and so forth. There's nothing to see here. The characterization of Kamala as the borders are. How dare you call her the borders are? She was not the border. I mean, there's so many examples of this. And this is the key point, something I've tried to explain to people for a long time. How do you move them? Grow the base, as Sullivan was referencing, and Brazil acquiesced. Going back to Mamet, the transition from party line liberal to reasonable citizen generally involves some degree of shame. But how do you inflict it? Mamet writes, the genius of 12-step programs is that shame in them can be aired and so diffused in a company, each of which has undergone a similar upheaval, where confessions of complicity and shame are greeted and diffused with recognition, laughter, and welcome, as among new conservatives and new devotees to citizenship. That's sort of, you have to sort of get in a group of people that are undergoing the same conversion, and then you get the sort of recognition of prior bad acts, prior bad judgment calls, and there's a sort of collective catharsis in sharing it and not wanting to go back, trying to stay on the straight and narrow so you don't disgrace yourself yet again. Really interesting to compare to a 12-step program, isn't it?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line.
Why would sentient Americans vote away the freedoms of thought, conscience, assembly, and expression guaranteed by our Constitution? It makes sense, as any suicide does, as an act of survival. The suicide takes his own life to stop unbearable anguish. It's the most desperate act of self-preservation. Prosperity, interconnectivity, and their attendant confusions have led to chaos, the denigration of religion, the family, law, and the nations whose identity was created out of the Judeo-Christian tradition. All you have to do is look at the UK prosecuting people standing silently across the street from abortion clinics, and if they say they were praying, they're guilty of a crime. But here's the difference between 20 and 24. During the past 4 years, Trump raided, indicted, convicted, sued, slandered, and shot continued to grow in popularity and attracted the like-minded into a coalition stronger than this cult of the left he's describing. But to command, one must have lieutenants themselves capable of assuming command and inspiring subordinates. Their absence in 2020 led to that bump in the road. But their emergence and amalgamation in the last 4 years is now the Republican Party. It isn't a cult of personality, the Republican Party, but a group of citizen workers, Americans who adore our country. We understand ourselves not primarily as Republicans or conservatives, but as we the people. And so he essentially concludes that, all civilizations are returned to dust, and America may yet suffer the same fate, but not today because of what happened on November 5th. That key point, though, about the move and the growing of the base and, what the left is at its core and what the remedy, if you will, is fundamentally to move them, to continue to move them, to continue to build on Trump nearly doubling his percentage of the black vote, increasing his percentage of the Latino vote, greatly increasing his percentage of the Native American vote, too. So, I mean, I'm using the identitarian categories for the larger point of moving away from identitarianism, which was what, in part, that vote was. So now with those converts being able to shed their shame and come over, let's use those cohorts from different walks of life, or certainly different quote-unquote identities, and build upon them. Kip in Stillman Valley, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, you're hitting it on the head here. I believe the eye-opening through our Heavenly Father for the masses to see, and the seeing the truth of what's actually happening is God-given. And continue to pray, people out there, because we're not out of this yet, like you said.
No, a long way.
We're a long way from even having him in office. It's so eerily silent that it's caution for awareness. And thank you very much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Kip. You too. And so, Trump's approval ratings now and the enthusiasm about his cabinet and his prospective term as president, he's up close to 60%, better numbers than he's ever had. It's all building off of this momentum that Mamet is writing about. Even our friend Gerard Baker from the Wall Street Journal, not a Trump fan, he narrated this piece for the Wall Street Journal editorial board, and this part in particular is relevant, what he's optimistic about with the incoming Trump administration.
But here's what I am optimistic about. 4 years from now, there's a good chance that it will have become normal to tell people who have no right to be here that they must leave.
Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority, because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country.
It will have become normal for the nation to exploit its enormous energy advantages for its own benefit and know that the planet won't explode as a result.
We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring it back so fast.
It will have become normal again for children to be helped to respond to the strains and traumas of growing up, not by having their genitals cut out, by receiving loving guidance and care from family and society.
I'm here on the side of parents who want to keep the focus in schools on academics rather than on sexual orientation or on so-called gender identity, which is a fake made-up concept with no basis in material reality and does not help kids get ahead in life.
It will have become normal again for people to be judged on the basis of their talents and ability, not on their claims of oppression by ancestors 6 generations in the past.
This negative message is dangerous to the future
because it discourages black. Nothing is more lethal than a good excuse for failing.
It will have become normal to be able to say what you think on university campuses, in the media, on technology platforms, however unpalatable some people may find it. And that, to my mind, is progress.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust.
He's a 30-year licensed broker
who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
Kids headed to college? Paying for college and avoiding student loan debt has never been more challenging. Hi, I'm attorney Ray Kaplan from Kaplan Law Firm. Our student loan consultants will help you plan smarter for college by navigating and understanding all available student loan options. Schedule a consultation today at 312-294-8989 or go to financialrelief.com. The rules around student loans have never been as complex as they are today. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street, Chicago. financialrelief.com.
This is David Hochberg with an emergency mortgage alert. If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. It finally happened. After 30 long and excruciating months, Fed Chair Powell just lowered interest rates 0.5 point, which means credit cards, car and home equity loans will be lower and less expensive. Most importantly, mortgage rates have dropped to their lowest levels since last February. The past 3 years have knocked out over 60% of our competition who are back in the mall spinning pretzels and folding underpants. Team Hochberg's weathered the storm and is ready to help you, your friends, and family reduce your rate and monthly payments. If your interest rate is 7 or above, call Team Hochberg now. Not when you get home, not tomorrow, now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This should be interesting, and I like interesting. At 8:08, we're going to talk to the editorial page editor of the Chicago Tribune, Chris Jones, who's also an art critic. When I talked about that latest offering at the Lyric Opera, an operetta entitled Blue, not favorably. He talked about it favorably. We'll start there with Chris Jones at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A man killed, a woman injured in a Little Village shooting. Chicago police continue investigating there. And another shooting in Little Village where a teen was killed and another wounded. A juvenile has been charged after a downtown Chicago shooting and weekend chaos. Body recovered from the water on Chicago's south side. Search is underway for a missing 83-year-old man in Chicago. And the Bears fall in overtime. WIND Chicago News Time, 8.
They're calling it Strikes-giving. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Hundreds of workers walked off their jobs this morning at Charlotte's busy airport in North Carolina. They clean and remove trash from inside airplanes and escort passengers in wheelchairs and say they're not being paid living wages.
The way that things are right now, we deserve a lot better than what we're being given.
But it's just a one-day strike, so it won't affect what AAA predicts will be record travel this week. Almost 80 million Americans going somewhere for Thanksgiving.
More than 71 million of those will go by car, with almost 6 million traveling by plane. FAA Chief Michael Whitaker says Tuesday will be the busiest air travel day and reminds travelers about the zero-tolerance policy for unruly behavior on flights.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. In 2 hours, President Biden will pardon Peaches and Blossom, carrying out a pre-Thanksgiving tradition of sparing 2 turkeys, as Democrats keep preparing for President-elect Trump's return. and his planned mass deportations after record illegal immigration.
Blue state prosecutors have been preparing for a potential Trump presidency for months. Speaking to Politico, some Democrat attorneys general say their potential actions may include challenging President-elect Trump if he tries to federalize the National Guard. They can even fight Trump if he tries to withhold federal funding from local authorities who don't assist in carrying out deportations. But some prosecutors are reportedly worried that the Trump administration is better prepared this time around to withstand legal challenges.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Russia has captured a former British soldier.
The Russian state news agency TASS identifies the man as James Anderson. TASS quotes a military source describing the 22-year-old as a UK mercenary taken prisoner in the Kursk region of Russia. That's where Ukraine launched an incursion in August, seizing several hundred square miles.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Israel is working out a potential ceasefire with Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. America's listening to Fox News.
50 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man was killed, a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon in the Little Village neighborhood along West 26th Street. Police tell us a dark-colored sedan opened fire after pulling up, and someone inside using that weapon struck a 43-year-old man multiple times and a 41-year-old woman in the leg. The man was later pronounced dead at Mount Sinai Hospital, while the woman is in good condition. Nearby, a shooting on Sunday left a 16-year-old boy dead and a 15-year-old injured, the older teen identified as Jesus Sanchez. A juvenile is facing weapons charges following a Saturday night shooting near Chicago's flagship Macy's store that wounded a 19-year-old woman along South State Street. Chicago Loop Alliance says no immediate changes to security are planned, citing existing holiday patrols. Vikings prevail in overtime after toppling the Bears, 30-27 at Soldier Field. Caleb Williams threw for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 6 times for a team-high 33 yards on the ground. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save on average 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The trial, which could determine the future of Google's online ad empire, drawing to a close, with the Justice Department and Google making closing arguments over whether the tech giant's online advertising technology constitutes an illegal monopoly. U.S. District Judge Leonie Brinkema in Alexandria, Virginia, will decide the case and is expected to issue a written ruling by the end of the year. The Justice Department contends that Google built and maintained a monopoly in open web display advertising, which are those rectangular ads that appear on pages when users browse websites. Google's attorneys have argued the company doesn't make money off of Chrome, which is not licensed, and that in ways it supports rivals like Firefox. And Bath & Body Works stock soaring after an earnings beat and raised guidance. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
I love to travel. I've been to Easter Island, the Galapagos, Morocco, India, and the first item that I pack is my balance of nature.
Whether you're taking a vacation, visiting loved ones, or discovering new destinations, traveling is exciting. But let's face it, sometimes it's easy to prioritize everything else over your well-being when you're on the go. Balance of Nature offers a simple solution. Formulated from 31 whole fruit and vegetable ingredients, our fruits and veggie supplements are encapsulated and easily fit into your busy travel itinerary. Between bustling airports and scenic roads, Balance of Nature is the perfect addition to your wanderlust lifestyle. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Revive Your Lawn and Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. Kennedy is at 40 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on the Dan Ryan stop and go in the Express inbound between Pershing and the Stevenson. Tri-State recovering from an earlier accident southbound near the Lincoln Oasis. Traffic signals are dark this morning in Vernon Hills, Town Line, and Aspen. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, a bit of rain, the high at 52. A shower or two this evening. Otherwise, clouds and cold, low tonight 25. Breezy, cold day tomorrow, clouds and sun, high 39. And then cloudy on Wednesday, the high at 43. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
50 at O'Hare, next news 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked about this new opera at the Chicago Lyric Opera a bit last week. It's entitled Blue. And from this WBEZ preview of said opera, the title of that story, The Star of Blue, a new opera about police misconduct. Says the role is personal. Opera about police misconduct. And then you go through the write-up and you and it includes an interview with the star Trevon Walker, and you get a flavor of certainly the thinking of the artist, and perhaps a little bit of an understanding of what kind of story you're going to get. And he responds in this Q&A at BEZ about contemporary stories on the opera stage that we don't always see from a black perspective. That was the nature of the question. And he responds, Trevon Walker, it's important for people to see this. I think it's really empowering for me to be able to share this experience with people because it's something that I personally relate to. It's something that I know and I experience in my daily life. I've had these conversations with family members. I've had my mom sit me down when I was 16 and I got my driver's license, and she told me, if you ever get stopped by the police, this is what you have to do. You can't be disrespectful. And I think this is an experience that is unique to a lot of people, and I think it's really important that we show that to the general mass of opera goers. The backdrop of the story is a black kid is shot by police. And then this couplet from a duet that Trevon Walker, who plays the son, does with his father, who's a police officer. I'm quoting the couplet. This was included in the BEZ piece. You're a black boy, a moving target. That's what the father sings. And the son sings, I'm an endangered species. I'm a black man brought into this world as white people's fodder for labor and for sport. We go so far, but no further. And remember, this is Trevon Walker at the Chicago Lyric Opera, who is saying about this story, it's something that I know and experience in my daily life. So you sort of lost me at the preview, given what the artist himself said and an example of the artistry to be offered. In fact, I tweeted it out. The Lyric Opera disgraced itself during COVID, which it did. Its descent continues with this cultural disinformation. Blue is the kind of banal political direct that mischaracterizes through caricature one person's lived experience, quote unquote, as an entire group's. It's the sort of cut-and-paste sentimental pap that has degraded Chicago's theatrical venues. And I was surprised how much feedback I got, including from former devotees to the Lyric Opera and the Chicago theater scene, as I was. But Chris Jones, who's the editorial page editor of the Chicago Tribune and an art critic himself, he responded, Dan, you are not right here. It's a very even-handed piece focused on how parents worry. It does not pertain to have answers, nor is it sentimental. I was deeply moved by it. I think you would be too. And he published a review of this as well, of the play, in which he gave it 4 stars. So, okay, when we have a disagreement. So let's chat about it. Won't that be fun? Let's do that right now. Chris Jones is the editorial page editor of the Chicago Tribune and chief theater critic. He's also a Broadway critic for the New York Daily News and author of Rise Up, Broadway and American Society from Angels in America to Hamilton. Chris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Good to talk to you. So, I read your review of Blue, so I get your perspective. But that couplet from the father and son duet, how am I to understand that? If what you suggest in your piece and your tweet, that this was an even-handed distillation of the issue that wasn't intended to have answers. It seems like it has a particular answer, and the focus is on structural racism, which is hardly new or novel or, frankly, to me, particularly interesting.
Well, I take that point, but I think this opera, so the opera is about, for me, the fear that parents feel when their kids go out of the house. And it's true that the opera is specifically dealing with what black parents feel. But I think it's a situation where people on all sides of the political spectrum can understand, the worry. And I'm a parent myself, and I understand the worry that people feel when their teenager, who you don't know what they're going to get into, leave the house and start to, just start to go off and might be in harm's way. Whether it's whatever kind of trouble they may get into. So the main character is a cop himself, and you see him with his pals. It's set in New York City, so you see him with his pals kind of talking about what it's like to have a son, and then you see the mom with her gal pals doing sort of much the same thing, worrying about him. And I don't think the BZ piece was correct. I don't think it's a piece about police violence at the end of the day. I think it's a piece about parental fear, and I think you could apply that to any aspect of our big city. When you look at, for example, what happened, on the Magnificent Mile this weekend, when there was clearly a lot of things to worry about if you were a parent and your kid was down there. And I think this opera is tapping into that. And I guess I didn't see it as an especially political piece. I don't dispute for a sec that it got characterized that way, but I didn't feel that. I thought it was kind of a piece about being a dad, and that's how I felt about it, Dad.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting just because, again, Trevon Walker in his own words sort of talks about this from that perspective. I mean, the implication at the beginning, even though they don't, as you include in your review, they don't get into responsibility. This black kid who's shot and killed by police, they don't get into the circumstances. But the implication is, you're supposed to sort of default to the established narrative of police, black kid. It's a race thing. Black people are treated differently by police and so forth. I mean, and it's just, to compare it to, for example, what happened on the Mag Mile this weekend. Well, that would actually be interesting to talk about the lawlessness as opposed to law enforcement as the, as always the heavy in these stories. That's, to me, what just struck me as so cliched.
Well, I think, not to make a kind of weaselly centrist point here, but I think the way that we can come together a bit in Chicago is understanding that it's both of those things, right? That's what these families are worrying about. They're just worrying for their kids. And I think that you're right, that is, the thing that happened this weekend is, we hear less about that. People don't make operas about that in the way they make them about what we're talking about today. But for me, it's about it's about the human sort of, the human sort of fear. In this opera, for example, you never see the incident. So you don't know who shot who, who came first, who's to blame. You don't know any of that. It's not really about that. It's more about this kind of sense of urban alienation, if you like. And I don't know. I think feeling empathy for families in that scenario is not a bad thing. That would be my honest, that would be my honest view. And I don't think that's a particularly political point.
No, I feel empathy for people that are general victims of the disorder and the violence, and there's no question. And that begins with minority families, since most of the violence is in majority minority neighborhoods in Chicago and a lot of big cities. So there's no question. But I mean, it seems to me like the interesting the interesting contribution the art community could make, and I'm not here to tell people what kind of art to make. You make whatever you want. I'm just saying it's uninteresting to me if you just do this over and over again, where the institution is the self-inflicted violence. It's the endemic nature of it, where police are largely there to sort of clean up the results of the violence, and instead it's always sort of using police as the way past it. It's always sort of conjuring up America 2024 is still basically Selma 1963, and it's just over and over again. Let me ask you another question about this, just like writ large, beyond Blue. So I mean, David Mamet. I think we can all agree, greatest living American playwright.
No argument here. Yeah.
Okay, so the play, this is very much like talking to Mel Brooks about making Blazing Saddles. Could you make it today? No. Could David Mamet? I don't know if you saw it, but could you? I saw it at the Goodman 15 years ago. Could he make the play Race? Could he make the play Race today?
100% not. Nobody would produce it. I mean, it's virtually impossible to get a David Mamet production on in Chicago, because he's been largely kind of blacklisted by the establishment American theater, and I think that's a great shame. I think he wrote some great plays, and I think his great plays are the ones he wrote while he lived in Chicago. They'd be plays like American Buffalo and Glengarry Glen Ross,
Right.
Sexual Perversity in Chicago. These are great plays. He's a great writer. He's a conservative writer. There's no question about that, right? But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be produced. That doesn't mean that he's not a great writer or a great artist. And I think in his hometown, it's been a blind spot of the Chicago theater not to produce Mama. Now, a lot of people disagree with that. I understand they disagree with that. And, you know, that's the situation. But a play like Race, which you're right, would not get done today, very provocative, very well written, actually quite prescient. Like a lot of what Mamet wrote early on anticipated a lot of the stuff that worries you. It really did. I mean, he was writing about stuff that you're talking about on this station now. He was writing about a lot of that stuff quite a long time ago. So, you know, I think I like to see us, you know, he can be a bit of a grumpy old man, as you probably know. You know, he can. He just wrote a piece for us, actually, like a week or two ago about Chicago, and he had very good points. But it was such a, like, downer, you know, and you were like, oh, you know, it's not quite as bad as you might be thinking, you know. So he's a bit that way, but he's a great guy, and he's a fun guy, and he's a great writer, and he should be produced.
But I mean, the thing about Race back then too. I mean, the cast was at least on the Broadway version. I don't think they.
Terry Washington, right? I think
Terry Washington, David Allen Greer, and then David Allen Greer was replaced by Dennis Haysbert. I mean, you had top flight actors too, and so even separating Mamet, because, you know, he's a controversial figure because he doesn't share everybody's political views in the theater community. But like just a play like Race couldn't get produced, even if it wasn't Mamet's name attached, even if it was somebody unknown name attached. So I mean, what does that say to sort of the creativity and the thousand flowers bloom attitude that is supposed to be the disposition of the art community? Do something interesting, do something different, challenge authority, challenge orthodoxy. None of that.
Well, I've been similarly frustrated by that. However, I would say this. I feel there's a bit of a shift going on now. I think that the nadir of that sort of attitude has, you know, we're getting past it. I'm beginning, you know, I go to the theater almost every night of my lifetime, and I watch what new plays are being done, you know, what are people choosing to produce, and I'm beginning to see a bit of a thaw in what you're talking about. So we're now beginning to see plays that are not quite as doctrinaire, not quite as predictable, not quite as, you know, along the same very progressive lines. We're beginning to see them. I think they're waking up a little bit to the fact that audiences don't want to be lectured to. They're waking up to the idea that you've got to go after power sometimes, and sometimes that power is people who agree with you. And I'm a little more optimistic. So I'm here to say, you know, give it another. I don't dispute a lot of what you said, but I'm here to say give it another chance, because I think we're beginning to see some of the adults in the room begin to get their mojo back a little bit. And I think they, you know, there was a period when it was rough going in the theater, especially right after COVID, very rough going. And even now, you know, it's so hard for people to get downtown now, and people are so concerned about getting downtown. Like, I was at Annie, believe it or not, last week, right? Half a house,
Yeah.
Great production of Annie. And then I heard this weekend people were trying to get there, and they couldn't get there because the cops had all the roads closed off, and there was all this mishigas downtown. You know, we have to invest in the loop. We have to get live entertainment going again in Chicago. It's, you know, we've let it slip in a really big way, and that's crucial to a vibrant city that we all want to live in. And having more people on the streets creates more safety and all of that good stuff. And it's like, I don't know, it's been grim downtown, and I just feel that we need to turn the corner on it and create, you know, more interesting work that people really want to see and that they can debate issues. And I'd like to think, I'm hoping that the theater now, you know, does exactly what you're saying and takes on these issues so that people can talk together.
Well, I hope. I mean, I agree with everything you just said, and I hope that is the case. I hope we see a mentality shift and maybe a mea culpa here or there too to bring some people back.
Yeah, don't count on that.
Otherwise, I'm not counting on it. But I'm just saying, if you're really interested in the art houses and the theaters not disintegrating like so much else has, the club scene and so much else has in Chicago, then there needs to be a little bit more self-reflection than I think has been currently demonstrated. But I'll take your optimism and hope that you turn out to be prescient as well. Chris Jones is the editorial page editor and the chief theater critic for the Tribune, Broadway critic for the New York Daily News, and author of Rise Up, Broadway and American Society, From Angels in America to Hamilton. Chris, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on this morning.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold, from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver, from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. There are so many takes on the 2024 election and so little time. Over at Fox News, I've listed my top 10. Right now, I'll note just one: our national security. Americans know our national security is endangered by China, Russia, Iran, North Korea's axis of dictators, and we don't like the prospect of being number 2 or even being tied for number 1. Peace through strength is the best option for the president-elect to follow, and to do so with a sweeping set of goals. The rapid expansion of our fleet, especially under the seas, should be a priority, along with the ongoing development of asymmetrical weapons and systems. The selection of Florida Congressman Green Beret Mike Waltz as the National Security Advisor and Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense indicate the Trump team is serious. These are good men, and they are serious men. I hope all his senior appointees at DOD commit for the entire 4 years. The nation needs them. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They are a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust. Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-298-9534. That's 800-298-9534. 800-298-9534.
The fentanyl epidemic is killing 400 Americans per day. The new documentary, Fentanyl Death Incorporated, takes a deep dive into this deadly killer.
It is the equivalent of a 747 going down every 2 days.
The 9,000 kilograms that were seized by the HIDTA program last year is sufficient to kill the population of the United States several times over.
Americans age 18 to 45 are the #1 consumers of fentanyl. Our friends, our neighbors, our own family members.
The Surgeon General released the report on the epidemic of loneliness, and that is a real thing.
Where is all of this stuff coming from?
Who's in the fentanyl supply chain? Where are the super labs? How are they using our open borders to cause such devastation?
All roads lead back to China.
The danger is all around us. The time is now.
They're killing our children. And how do we change that?
Don't miss this important documentary report, Fentanyl Death Incorporated. It could save the life of someone you love. Available exclusively at salemnow.com. salemnow.com. AM 560, The Answer.
I know Wicked has been a big box office hit, but and I want to be optimistic like Chris Jones about offerings. Now, this is the movie version, not the stage, but Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, the stars of Wicked the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Every day in the Emerald City is a Pride Parade.
Oh my God,
right?
yeah.
I mean, look at
That's actually great.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Even like the chickens. Those
the snow
chickens
leopard with
are
the little
gay.
cape. Oh.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Dr. Dillman in that Bodie cardigan.
Oh.
Let's wake it up. Let's talk about it. I want that cardigan, and let's just talk for a minute about him and his little custom tea device as well, his little teacup. Dr. Dilly. With his tea and his cardigan.
No.
I'm just throwing it out there.
It's true.
Gay icon Dr.
For
Dill.
sure. I do think that scene with his teacher friends or his animal friends, they're all a little bit like...
Very chic.
You know, the snow leopards lounging on the couch.
And the little Tamarin monkey.
Everybody's gay, and every day's a Pride Parade in Oz. I mean, it's just so...
It doesn't stop.
It's tiresome.
That's going to taint. I already bought a ticket. We're all going to see it the day after Thanksgiving.
You've been warned.
Thanks, Dan. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Former CIA analyst Martin Gurry on Trump's counterrevolution at 8:38.
And the gender reveal at the end of the show. Is Justin having a boy or a girl? Or are they going to let the child decide? But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 8:33, 48 degrees, and officials in Egypt this morning say a dozen are missing after a tourist vessel sank in the Red Sea. Authorities are searching for 17 more who went missing. Rescuers say 28. Forecasters are saying Thanksgiving travel could be messy this year because of the weather. AAA says 80 million Americans are expected to travel at least 50 miles from their homes over the holiday. AccuWeather tells us travelers in the eastern U.S. should be prepared for delays due to strong winds. Donald Trump nominating Brooke Rollins to lead the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Rollins served on the Trump Economic Advisory Council in 2016. 2 are dead, 9 injured after a violent weekend in Indianapolis.
It's just hard to believe that we're at this kind of pace now where almost every day somebody's getting shot.
Indianapolis Metropolitan Police say 10 shootings happened over the course of 12 hours Saturday and Sunday. Longtime game show host Chuck Woolery has died. Woolery, the original host of Wheel of Fortune for almost 5 years. But he is best known for hosting Love Connection. Woolery was 83. A man was killed and a woman injured in a shooting Sunday afternoon along West 26th Street in the Little Village neighborhood. A 41-year-old man was killed. Also nearby, a 16-year-old teen, Jesus Sanchez, was discovered hit by gunfire, critically wounded. He later died at a nearby hospital. A juvenile is facing weapons charges following a Saturday night shooting near Chicago's State Street shopping area. The flagship Macy's store saw panic during the holiday festival. An injured woman ran into Macy's and was then hospitalized in fair condition. Vikings prevail in overtime, topping the Bears 30-27 at Soldier Field. The news service of Trim Light Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent, programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees nothing but winning.
You know, the guy that doesn't like Hispanics just appointed the first Latino Secretary of State in American history, Marco Rubio. Also, Trump, the misogynist, appointed the first ever female chief of staff, Susie Wiles. Boy, that's some real unconventional decisions from a racist misogynist, huh? A lot of winning.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, AM 560 homeowners. Are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at AbacusPays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at AbacusPays.com.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It's a service of Staples stores with amazing deals on everything you need for the holidays. Custom holiday cards and photo gifts, laptops, gaming systems, even shipping solutions. And now, save up to $350 on select computers. In-store only. Offer ends 12/28. Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. Tri-State. You've got delays on the southbound side right near Southwest Highway. A right lane blocked with an accident. And delays in Elmhurst right now. Route 83 and North Avenue. Report of an accident. Also in Elmhurst. Route 83 at the Eisenhower merge. An accident there. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Cloudy with a little light rain, high 52 today. There could be a stray shower overnight. Otherwise, we'll get really cold with low clouds and a low of 25. Light rain and 49 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Are we seeing more evidence of sort of a Trumpian, conservative, pragmatic type of populism spreading? We, of course, there are different iterations of this. Javier Milei in Argentina comes from a particular free market economic tradition, much more so than does, say, Trump. But the real synergy here, if you will, is Western leaders who are throwing off a sclerotic, politicized state. And those who don't, perhaps suffering under the weight of it. For example, the next shoe that could drop, and please, Lord, let it drop, is Justin Trudeau, that grade school drama teacher the Canadians have made their prime minister for the past decade. A very polished, very sharp conservative MP that we've been talking about off and on for quite some time now, Pierre Poilievre, is in the offing. And with where Trudeau and his party stands right now with Canadians, seems like there is it's more likely than not that you're going to see a change there, perhaps a change that Trump can help foment when he assumes office again. Pierre Poilievre talking about the last decade under Trudeau. You thought the last 4 years were bad under Biden. Think about 10 years of it.
I wonder what message you're sending to Canadians, Mr. Poilievre, when you say you're all about axing the tax, you're all about bringing taxes down, making life more affordable, and in the same breath you say you're not sure you're going to support a tax break for Canadians at a time when they're struggling so badly.
Why are they struggling so badly? It's been 9 years that Trudeau's promised to make them better off. And here we are. You're right. They are struggling so badly. And I think your own words are a condemnation of his track record, with food prices rising 37% faster in Canada than they have in the United States, just as the carbon tax came in. Housing costs doubled. Here we are in Toronto, where you have to earn well over $200,000 to afford a home. That was never the case before Justin Trudeau ran money printing and immigration out of control, before he built up all these bureaucracies that block home building. Clearly, Canadians are struggling. Justin Trudeau is the problem. He's not the solution. What we need is a common sense plan for permanent tax cut.
Keir Starmer, I know he's Labour in the UK, two-tier Keir, but there's immediate buyer's remorse there. It's just the Conservatives had did such a terrible job in power that it's made way for Labour to get another bite at the apple, but it's not going well. We saw the news out yesterday that Freedom Party in a provincial election in Austria scored its first provincial victory ever. There does seem to be a little movement against the state and statism and open borders and all of the problems that that approach to organizing a free society have thrown off. I wonder if this is something that we can see take hold in Western Europe, and perhaps Trump, as I said, can be an accelerant. Martin Gurry is a former CIA analyst. He's presently a visiting fellow at the Mercatus Center, George Mason University. He's also the author of The Revolt of the Public and the Crisis of Authority in the New Millennium, exactly what we're talking about. Martin Gurry, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. How are you?
So am I connecting dots that are not necessarily connected, or is there something afoot that bears resemblance from Austria to Canada to the United States to Argentina and elsewhere?
No, I think there's, without question, there is a tide afoot of change against sclerotic was a good word, a Western state model that puts people who are very much identical. You can take somebody from the French government and put them in here in Washington, and they would be identical. And they're identically clueless, I would think. And I think there's a very deep resentment of that amongst people who expect this to be a democratic country and elect people from opposition parties and nothing changes. And I think what you're about to see is change here in Washington. I mean, I don't think I'm a swamp creature, right? I'm in Washington, Virginia, but near Washington. I don't think I've seen so much panic since the British raided in the War of 1812. I mean, they have the dread pirate Trump and his band of about to take over, and there is panic in the streets.
Well, there's panic everywhere. I mean, they had a cry session. My son goes to the University of Iowa, and I was watching the local news, and they were having a cry session and then a candlelight vigil in District 1, the congressional district, which went to a Republican, too, by the way, or they're still counting the votes. But no one is handling this well.
They were having those at the State Department. Darrell Issa wrote a letter to animatronic Tony Blinken about that.
Really?
Which one thing on a college campus, how about at the State Department, just to highlight the panic you're talking about, Martin?
Yeah, well, I mean, that tells you something right there. These are not people who are supposed to be interacting with dictators and somehow conveying our interest to them, and they're crying somewhere, over a political loss. And I think, honestly, that's part of what the revolt is against, is this bizarre, we are so tender, and words cause harm, and you can't argue with me because I'll break down and cry. There's no arguing. And I think all of us were raised to be a little sturdier than that. I think all of us expect our government to be way sturdier than that. And, I think we're going to see it.
You wrote this piece for the Free Press talking about Trump's counterrevolution, and part of it you talk about the media. Some of the data out in terms of what happened to state and local news reporting over the last year is really interesting. A third of all U.S. newspapers that entered 2024 have been shut down. 127 closures in the past year. Of the remaining 5,600 newspapers, this is according to PR Daily, 80% are now weeklies, leaving just over 1,100 daily papers for a nation of 335 million people. Subscription numbers for the top 500 papers fell by 2 million last year. Washington Post alone lost 250,000. Newsroom staff dropped by 2,000 jobs in the past year, leaving fewer than 100,000 workers in the entire newspaper industry. I mean, we've seen this, of course, seismic change going on technologically with respect to news reporting. But this is more than just about the late technological adoption. This is about content.
Well, it's a combination of things. The newspaper is dying. I recommend a book called Post-Journalism or The Death of the Newspaper by Andre Mir. They're dying. There's no helping that. The Washington Post, my hometown newspaper, is dying. But then there's this added layer of unreality where you would think if you're in an institution that is clearly headed for the exit, that would be your main concern. Survival would be your main concern. And instead, during the election, we had this enormous drama over the fact that Jeff Bezos, the owner, wouldn't endorse Harris. And people were striking poses and leaving or pretending to leave or whatever. And you're thinking, okay, this goes way beyond rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. They're fighting over the best seats in the house, and the house is burning down to the ground. Okay, What is? Yeah.
Are you there?
I'm sorry, we lost you there. You said they were fighting over the best seats in the house, and the house is burning down, and we missed you.
Yep, that was it. That's all I said.
Oh, okay.
Well, what do you make of MSNBC or NBC trying to sell off MSNBC and CNBC?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the cascade effect. These things happen very mysteriously. They may well be consciously trying to distance themselves from Comcast from the poison, the toxicity of MSNBC, or it may just be a business decision. The Trump pump doesn't work anymore. My book sold because of Trump, so I can tell you I'm a Trump profiteer, but it's nothing like what the New York Times and what happened there. The New York Times had 1 million digital subscribers and struggling when he came along in 2016. By the end of his tenure, the first time around, they had 8 million, and they were in the money. He basically kept them afloat by himself for about 4 years. That isn't working anymore for some reason.
You're a former CIA analyst. One of the few agencies where, at least during the last 4 years, there hasn't been very much controversy. I mean, it's more actually sort of dates back to the 4 years under Trump and then the 2020 election with the 51 and so forth. William Burns is the CIA director, outgoing CIA director. Of course, John Radcliffe is the incoming CIA director. What's your perspective on not only what Radcliffe will inherit and the challenges for the CIA, but as we're talking about perhaps addressing mission creep in particular agencies, and I don't just mean from a bottom line sensitivity, specifically FBI, your perspective on the CIA and what challenges Radcliffe and Trump will have in getting a hold of that agency and the professionals there that are also resistant to Trump.
Well, I mean, it again is this institutional rot that has set in. I think the people involved are mostly very good, certainly very courageous, but they are stuck in a structure that is rotting away. And it's not just the CIA, it's the intelligence community. And when I was there, which was some time ago now, there were, this is not a secret number, it's well known, there were tens upon tens of thousands of pieces of Finnish intelligence that were published every year. Well, who the heck read that? Well, we read them, but we were working for each other pretty much, right? So I am one who believes that there is a lot that can be cut there, and a lot that needs to be mission focused. And CIA, by the way, I think is probably the most mission focused, maybe CIA and the military, the most mission focused part of the U.S. government. The rest of the government is like fifth wheels and sixth wheels and seventh wheels, just kind of grinding along, and you walk into those offices, and I did when I was working in the government, and you had no idea who was in control. You had no idea what was the purpose of the thing. Again, mostly it was like a gigantic jobs program, or I had a cynical coworker who called the CIA welfare for the middle class.
Wow.
Martin Gurry, former CIA analyst, presently a visiting fellow at the Mercator Center, George Mason University, author of the book The Revolt of the Public and the Crisis of Authority in the New Millennium. Martin, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It was fun.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. MediShare is the highest rated healthcare sharing ministry, and members save up to 50% or more on their monthly healthcare costs. Here's why now, too. If you join before November 30th and use the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. Could save even more. Call now. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
All right, if you have chronic pain, listen up. If you wake up every morning with pain in your hip or your knees or your elbows or your back, guess what? There's a solution other than surgery, and you don't have to keep taking pain pills. Get your life back. We're talking about QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics patients are able to walk up and down the stairs, sit and get back up. They can finally sleep without pain, waking them, or work and play. They feel normal again, and this could be you. Imagine a new year without achy joints and no more pain pills, no more steroid shots or cortisone shots. QC Kinetics uses the healing properties of your own body to attack the root cause of your pain, revitalizing joints so you can move again. This is the future of medicine, folks. Find out for yourself. You can have a free consultation by calling this number and start getting your life back. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
This year, I've given you so many reasons to try Balance of Nature, but I've got one now you cannot ignore. Let's review some of the other reasons. First, with Balance of Nature, you get a product made from whole fruit and veggie ingredients. Second, they can provide you with so many of the things you may be missing. Third, it could be just what you've been looking for to make you feel better. And as you already know, I take them every day. I think you'll agree this reason trumps them all. During November, with my special promo code, you'll get their Black Friday savings all month long. Use my discount code MikeG and sign up as a new customer to get 50% off plus free shipping. And as always, you get their money-back guarantee. This is an incredible deal, a great discount. You got to use my discount code MikeG. Get started. Balance of Nature. Call 800-246-8751 and use the discount code MikeG. 800-246-8751, discount code MikeG, or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use the discount code MikeG to get 50% off plus free shipping from Balance of Nature.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
And this is Brian Duncan, co-founder of Signature Bank. We wish you the very best this holiday season from Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, this is the moment we've been waiting for. Justin is revealing the sex of the child, and they made a little video of him and Bethany. It's the moment they found out. It's
Was that giggling Justin or Bethany?
It's Justin. So, Justin, what are you having?
It's a girl.
Yay!
Oh, congratulations.
So they get to name her Amy and not Dan.
No. I've got two names. Flannery is an option. You like Flannery?
Oh, God.
For Flannery O'Connor.
For a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
what
Flannery
else?
O'Connor. Or a Rose Friedman Kosick, in honor of Milton Friedman's wife Rose. I mean, you want to name it after like a great artist or a economist, don't you?
Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
I don't know
I'm
if
sure.
the wife's going to agree with that one.
All right. Rose Friedman Kosick. Think
Well,
about
congratulations. Have a wonderful day. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The incoming Trump border czar will go to the border. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, ahead of a mass deportation plan.
When Tom Homan arrives here tomorrow, he is going to be sending a message, and that message is that the Trump administration wants to be a partner for the state of Texas, not an adversary like we've seen with the Biden administration, which has essentially sued Texas every single time they've tried to secure their own border.
Fox's Bill Malugin in Eagle Pass. Some attorneys general in Democrat-led states and some governors and mayors are planning to defy federal deportation attempts. And Fox's Molly Line reports from Boston.
There are about a half a dozen sanctuary cities across the state of Massachusetts, but focusing on Somerville, the city council is going to take this up. They've had actually a long-held commitment since the late 80s to being a sanctuary city. The move coming, though,